And back to another live. Today I want to talk about the human race and the matrix and the life we're living in. I'm not gonna start talking until we got a couple of people here, but I have something very important to say today. The thing is that we've been living a lie our entire life. You know, we are living in an illusion, a matrix, a simulation, if you want. But I'm not talking about a computer simulation. It's a simulation of life, a simulation of society. And to start out, I want to play a clip just to set you in the mood to what we're going to talk about today. And here it is.
Why do you think that is? I mean, why is that? I mean, is it just because people are lazy today or they're bored? I mean, are we just like bored, spoiled children who've just been lying in the bathtub all day, just playing with their plastic duck, and now they're just thinking, well, what can I do?
Okay, yes, we are bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks, and it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he told me that he no longer watches television, he doesn't read newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at Findhorn, I met this extraordinary English tree expert who had devoted his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's 84 years old. He always travels with a backpack because he never knows where he's going to be tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "New York, yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison." And then he went into his pocket and he took out a seed for a tree and he said, "This is a pine tree." He put it in my hand and he said, "Escape before it's too late." See, actually for 2 or 3 years now, Chiquita and I have had this very unpleasant feeling that we really should get out. And we really should feel like Jews in Germany in the late 30s. Get out of here. Of course, the problem is where to go, because it seems quite obvious that the whole world is going in the same direction. See, I think it's quite possible that the 1960s represented the last burst of the human being before he was extinguished, and that this is the beginning of the rest of the future now, and that from now on there'll simply be all these robots walking around, feeling nothing, thinking nothing, and there'll be nobody left almost to remind them that there once was a species called a human being, with feelings and thoughts, and that history and memory are right now being erased, and soon nobody will really remember that life existed on the planet.
So that's what we're going to talk about today. Yes. We're not going to talk about this today. Normally I talk about this. Today that's something we drink. The problem is that we've been living in comfort our entire life. We have been spoon-fed life since we were little. We have been looking at reality within a perimeter. So I don't know how to explain it. I had a thought the other day about a theme park. Imagine that you are living in a theme park. Everything you know is within that theme park. You have no idea that there's something outside that theme park you've been living in your whole life. And yeah, you do your waiting, you do your roller coasters, you do carousels over and over again. And you know, deep inside, your gut is telling you that something is off, that this is just built to take your money, your energy, and basically life out of you. You know, it's not there for your sake, it's there for something else. You know that when you're in a theme park. And it's the same thing in life, you know. Once you limit yourself and start seeing what do you call it, the reality as it is. Because imagine you've been living in that theme park your whole life, and then you start walking around. You get bored with what's in it, and then you start seeing life in another spectrum. So you start walking around looking at the theme park in another way, and you see there's something off. And then you meet a guy who's telling you there's a whole world without that outside that theme park, you know, and you just think that guy, he's crazy, man. He can't be right, you know. That doesn't fit. But that's because that's what you've been taught your whole life. You don't know what's beyond your perimeter unless you dare to stick your head out of it. And that's what I want to talk to you guys about today. And I want to talk about why we're not sticking our head out there. Because imagine you're walking around and you're finding a wall around your little reality. And you think, that's weird, you know, because if there's a wall, there's definitely something on the other side. Why would there be a wall? You know? And then you realize that there have to be something else out there. So what do? You start walking around that perimeter, searching for entrance, a hole, you know? And it's just, I did that like 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I saw that I was in a matrix. I saw that I was in a reality that was created for me. And that's what we need to understand, that this is not a reality we created. It was created for us. And when you see that, you start seeing things for what they are, you know? You start seeing the evil and all the bad stuff in the world. And all of a sudden, that theme park is not that exciting anymore. When you see that it's just there to suck the life out of you, you want to see what's on the other side. You want to see if there's something better over there. See the expression, see if the grass is greener on the other side. So you're walking around, and at some point, you are going to find that entrance. If you search enough, you'll find that hole in the wall. And you know that there's going to be something completely new you've never seen if you stick your head out that hole. And why don't we do that? I tell you why. Because it's too damn scary to go there by yourself. You know, I've seen that hole in 5-10 years now. I do not dare to stick my head out there alone. And that's why we need to hook up and unite. You know, that's why we are here tonight. That is why we are sitting here talking week after week, it's because we need somebody, first of all, to recognize that there's a hole in the wall. And second of all, we want someone to have our back when we dare to stick our head out there. And we have been living in this augmented reality, if you want, There's no difference for what we're doing than augmented reality. It's a reality we create, And then we're sitting and patting each other on the back and say, yeah, this is how it should be, I'm not talking about you mostly awake people. I'm talking about people in general, the human race, It's mass hysteria. Nobody wants to open their eyes. Everybody knows there's a problem, even those who say they don't. They feel it deep inside and they know there's a problem. They just refuse to go down that road because it's just too damn hard. You have seen this, all these clips within the movie The Matrix, where they address this problem, You see when they get to the outside in the movie The Matrix, you have Morpheus say, "Welcome to the desert of the real." It's because reality ain't that exciting when you compare it to the reality we created. I bet you, if you burst out of this bubble and take the step to get out of this matrix, avoid the system, go where this system can reach you, then you will realize that it's not that fun. You realize that you're basically all alone, and and when you come to that, that's what they mean with the welcome to the desert of the real, because it's basically a desert. Well, imagine you coming from this playground that we've been living in our whole life, and all of a sudden you have to make your own spoon. How the fuck did that happen? If you realize that you have to make everything yourself, that is not handed to you, or that's going to be tough. And many people don't want to go down that road alone. How could they? They don't know. Yeah. Hello, guys. Hello, Aaron. Hello, Crystal Shaman. Welcome. Today we are talking about life and people. And I think what we want to address today is fish and tacos, yeah. What we want to address today is the two roads that we can choose, because I think we are at a crossroad right now where we need to make a choice. For a long time, we have been able to address this as a problem down the road. It's not like that anymore. September, come to September. I think we have a few weeks before this gets rolled out. And when it gets rolled out, you need to take a stand. You really need to look hard in the mirror and ask yourself what you want. Because you're going to give up this reality if you're not taking that vaccine. This reality, this theme park, this matrix you're living in, it don't want you if you don't play along. And it's going to be very, very apparent in a few weeks. So be ready. That's the name of the show today. And be ready for what's coming. And you can call it whatever you want. You can call it a crossroad, a threshold. If you're a religious person, you can call it a purgatory or what do you call it? Tribulation, So, yeah. but it's coming. You have to make a stand. You have to take this choice, and it's not an easy one. Because if you choose to have a vaccine, you can have all this. You can have your life back, and everything will return to normal. But if you don't want to play a part of that system, it's going to be a whole new ball game. You have to give up your comfort. You have to give up your life. You have to give up everything that you have been spoon-fed your entire life. So I think if we take the theme park theme again, I think, imagine a roller coaster ride. We've just been in a ride, we've just been up and down, for like 20 months now. And then they gave us a recess. They let us off that ride. And most people, they're just standing there waiting to get another one. Maybe they go get an ice cream, maybe they go get some dinner. But when they're done, they're going to be right back in that line waiting to get on that ride. And that's the problem. That is really a problem, the compliance. No, I don't want to call it compliance. It's the ignorance of not knowing there's another way. So, yeah. So let's see who's here. We have Aaron. We have Crystal Shaman. Oh, so I'm so sad to hear that, Aaron. Yeah, that's a hard one. I have to say this, Aaron. It's not her fault, You can't blame her for doing what she's been told for so long, I know it's hard, and I know that basically you just want to do whatever it takes to save the people that you love. But in the end, it's their choice. Unless they're your children and you still have custody over them, you can choose. But when it comes to people, they have to make up their own choice. That is the problem. It is not up to us to judge. That is not our job. We can inform and we can poke at people, but in the end, they have to make that choice. And I feel you when I see that your girlfriend had the vax, but there's nothing you can do about it except keep trying, keep trying to tell her to not take the next one, or just let them. Yeah, you have no children, but still, if you love this girl, you need to do whatever it takes to make her see that it's a bad thing, and don't go with the scare campaign, because nobody wants to listen to that, Go with the good flow, For instance, I haven't taken a vaccine since I was a baby. Since my mother gave me the first vaccines, I've never taken anything, Use that as an example, and I'm fine. Nothing happened. I'm okay. I never had the measles. I never had any of that. So I'm all good. Hey there, Voynich. I love your passion. Who else do we have? Crystal Shaman. You know what? I can sit here and yap all day, and I will if I have to, but I'm going to drop that link. If anybody wants to join this conversation at any time, be my guest, just jump in. See if I can do this. Yeah. There's a link if anybody wants to join a conversation with me about people and everything that we want or don't want. Jump in. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue yapping. And all it takes is to press that. You don't have to have a camera, but I love to hear your voice. So I love conversations. I have a clip that I want to show you all. Just to set the base for what you're choosing, if you're choosing the mainstream way, because it is changing us on daily basis right now. It is changing the human behavior. If anybody saw the video I played at the start, that is exactly what I'm seeing happen right in front of my eyes. I see people losing their emotions, losing their ability to have conversation, interactions. And to demonstrate that, I'm going to play this clip. It is actually from rush hour in a train. And I want you to notice that everybody is on their phone. There are no conversations at all. Take a look. Did you catch that? Nobody were talking in rush hour in a train. And I see that every day now. I see people who's coming inside the train together and sit down and pull each their phone out. One of these days, it's going to go from a portable to a wearable, And they're going to, down the line, you're going to walk around with a helmet on and communicating with everybody within that helmet. If that's what you want, go right ahead. That's not for me. I'm saying that right now. So, yeah, it's all right. It's all right. It's just people, They have made that choice. If you can change that choice, do so, But be aware that this truth is not for everybody. Back to the Matrix movie, the red pill and the blue pill, All I'm offering you is the truth, Some people can't handle it. As you see in the Matrix, Neo is having a bad day, a breakdown, when he's showing the desert of the real. And because not everybody, some people are so attached to the system, this illusion, that they will do anything to defend it. I mean, anything. They'll even kill to defend it. And when those people grow in power, they're going to use that power to defend their solution. Because you can basically do the decipher, The cipher is like, why didn't I choose the blue pill? Because he don't want to be there, And he's basically fucking up everything because he wants to go back to the way things were. And you will always have a big portion of people thinking like that. So in the end, it's going to be us against them. I know that is not anything that people want to hear or even consider, but down the line, that's what's going to be. Because you will have, 40%, 50% of this world population that will defend this way of life to the death. We need to concentrate ourselves on the rest of them. We need to make this a 50-50 fight. And I think that is what we're failing to do right now, because we are actually playing right into the system's hands by doing what we're doing. And I know I'm gonna get a lot of, maybe, what do you call it, frag for this, but I think we're doing stupid. Even myself, I've done it. I'm not some kind of saint, you know. I've been participating in this system all the way until like 5 years ago, where I tried to pull myself out of it. You know, even I've seen it for 10 years, but for 5 years, I wouldn't budge. I didn't do anything, even though I knew I would. I did not dare to stick my head outside the wall, because you don't know what's on the other side. You don't know if you're gonna get back. So, yeah, that is the basic line of human nature. We need to do things together. We are, what do you call it, a herd community. So we need to make a community for ourselves. We need to detach ourselves from this system as much as possible, and we need to find like-minded around us who we can attach our energies with, so we can become something better. Because alone we don't stand a chance, and as long as ego is involved, we are not gonna get anywhere. So what do we do? Well, I see I have my friend from Holland, Voynich. He's a good guy. I like to watch him. So with no further ado, Voynich, how you doing?
Hi, Rebel. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Where are you, by the way? Are you in Denmark or Sweden?
Denmark, Copenhagen.
Okay. So I heard that in Denmark they released all the regulations and rules around.
Yeah, it basically they resolved all the regulations, but they are also amping up in the media now that it needs to come back. You know, so it's all a part of the propaganda.
Yeah. So they're giving you just a pause to breathe, right?
We're getting a recess. You know, when the kids have been in school for too long, you know, they're gonna be rowdy. They're gonna start throwing things at the teacher and stuff like that. And you need to give them a recess, so they can calm things down, and you can get back to learning them shit. So that's what we got here right now. We got a recess.
Yeah, but
there's a lot of laws being implemented here in September, so I'm pretty sure that everything's going to change here mid-September, and we're going to see a different story in Denmark.
Right? Yeah, because Denmark was also the first, I think, to mandate the vaccines. Right? There wasn't a vaccine available yet at the time. I think it was 2020.
Yeah.
And it was already like, if there's a vaccine, it's going to be mandatory.
No, it's not mandatory in Denmark.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's what I heard.
We got that turned down. We're protesting for 13 days in a row within outside our parliament, and they actually threw out that law. But it's going to come.
They actually listened to the
protest? They had no choice.
Wow.
They had no choice. We're a small country, you know. So if enough people stand up, they have to listen. But basically, what they did, it was a front for a package of smaller laws that they implemented behind the closed doors. So while we were on the street protesting against this big thing, they were rushing through a package of laws in Parliament. They rushed it through in 3 days. Nobody heard about it until it was too late. And so it was, again, you know, one hand is doing something and the other one is fucking you in the ass, you know. So that's what we got.
It's what they do. It's how they operate, right?
You are in Netherlands, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Where
we're actually
where exactly?
I'm in the middle in Soest, near Utrecht. Near Utrecht.
Utrecht. So it's
Yeah.
south of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Southeast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
actually, I know somebody from Utrecht.
Aha.
Somebody I used to play video games with. Yeah. So I was in Amsterdam like 2 years ago
Okay.
on New Year's Eve.
How was that for you? Was it
It
cool?
was excellent.
Oh,
Excellent. Good people, just like in Denmark, good people, but soundly asleep. So we have good people here in Denmark too, but that's the problem. In Denmark, we are too afraid to stick our head out when it comes to being different. Isn't it amazing that everybody is spending their whole life, trying to be different, and all of a sudden they're afraid to stick their nose too far out. We spend half our life trying to be different than everybody else, and then we realize, no, we really don't want to be different.
Yeah, and people read books about heroes, right? And they always identify with the hero, and
Yeah,
and not
exactly.
with the. I even had people tell me when I shopped without a mask. I usually I was the only one, and one guy came up to me. He said, "I think it's so brave of you, or so brave of you to do that, to walk without a mask, man. I wish I could do it." I said, why don't you just do it?
Yeah.
I mean, he said, "Yeah, well, people." I said, "Well, look at the reaction that I get from you. You're telling me that I'm doing fine. Nobody told me to wear a mask. Yeah, but not the people, not the customers. Maybe people that work there, but."
Yeah. I haven't been wearing a mask.
Like, why do you compliment me on not wearing a mask but you are wearing one? Why are you? He said, "Well, I'm not wearing it over my nose." I said, "Well, oh, you rebel. Oh, you rebel."
Yeah, but that's the problem, They want to be different. They know it's wrong. Deep inside, everybody knows wrong. You can see it in their faces. You can see them looking down when you're coming. Where I have videos where I filmed the lines at our test centers, And when I come, I hold the camera up high so everybody can see that I'm filming them. And you know what? Everybody's looking away. They start talking to each other. They're looking at the ground. They're not even trying. They don't even want to see me.
Yeah.
And why?
That's because you represent conscience, right? Actually, you represent conscience. That's what happened. That's also what happens when you hold up a camera, right? People change. Why?
Yeah.
Because they're going to be held responsible for what they said.
Yeah. And I think so too. I also think that it's because deep inside they know it's wrong.
Yeah.
They know what they're doing. Deep inside their gut is telling them they shouldn't be standing in their line. They shouldn't bring their kids. They know. And then I come here.
But they have that part switched off, and that part starts to work when your camera is running, right? It's like, oh.
Yeah. But imagine, that's what I said. That's what they're wrong, because imagine if you really believe there was a deadly virus killing everybody, endangering you and your family and your kids, and there was some guy wearing a t-shirt like this, with a camera in the hand. If I truly believed that there was a virus killing everybody, I would go tell that guy to fuck off.
Right. Yeah.
That is the natural reaction.
Yeah.
But they don't. They turn their back to me instead. It's because they know there's a problem. And if they confront me, they have to confront that problem. And they won't want to do that. And those who do back down really fast because they realize that I actually know shit and they don't know shit. So, and that's the problem. So
it's crazy, right? These people distributing those jabs, they don't even know what's inside of it. Not one ingredient. They don't
care. They don't care.
Incredible.
They don't care. They're just too hooked on reliance of the life they've been living, the comfort. they don't care. You can take a person right in front of them, inject them with a vaccine. They'll drop dead, right in front of them. And I promise
nobody steps out of line. Everybody will still stand in the queue like,
or maybe they go home, but they will be there next week or the week after that, but they'll forget. And that's the problem. People are so hooked on this system and being a part of the system. It's no longer a fear of the COVID. If you go, I can't find anybody. If you put it on the line, they're not afraid of a virus. They are afraid of what people are going to think about them. They're afraid about how their neighbors going to look at them. They're afraid that people will embarrass them in the shops, or in the trains. They are afraid that they can't do what they're afraid of getting fired. They're afraid of all these things. The only thing they're not afraid of is a virus. It's become, a society bug instead of a virus. Yeah. So it's a mind bug.
I heard this one the other day, like corona. It's actually a name for radiation, right? Like when there's when the moon eclipses the sun.
It's the aura. It's an aura.
Right. Corona aura. It's actually more or less the same. Yeah. So corona means radiation, right? And virus means poison. So put that back together, right? So you have radiation poison. I mean, that's actually the word. Coronavirus, radiation poison.
There's no difference from this and the man on the square and the Wild Wild West selling the snake oil. There's no difference.
Yeah. And if you get sick from the snake oil, you need more snake oil. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they're going to do right now. I think if there is anything in these vaccines, it's poison. It's more shit that are going to make you sick, because next time the wave is going to be there. It's not about, I don't think so, my opinion, that it's about nanoparticles and all that. Maybe they want that down the line, but I don't think that's what it is right now. I think it's all about making people sick, hurting their immune system by making them wear a mask, being stressful. All that hurts the immune system. And then it doesn't, when you have weakened people over 8 months with a mask and stress and all that, it doesn't take much poison,
Right.
You just have to give them a little bit and they're going to get sick. And if the whole world gets sick at the same time, then you're going to have this new wave. And imagine, just look at how they rushed things through, You don't have a year, you don't have time to do this vaccine. No, it has to be done, and it has to be done now. They have been amping up the propaganda because they want everybody to vaccinate at the same time so they can create this new wave.
Yeah.
And this time it's going to be real. I don't think you're going to see people die, but everybody's going to get sick from this shit.
Oh, dude, what do you mean you're not going to see people? People are dying just by bunches, dude.
Yeah, I'm talking on a larger scale, yeah.
Yeah.
Of course you will have somebody just like an allergic reaction. People are dying from eating shell food, So some people can handle that amount of poison, and especially those who have been doing everything right for the past 12 months, because everything has hurt your immune system, even the sanitizer,
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
People are still doing that. The hand sanitizer.
I
call it the hand sanitizer.
It's totally stupid, because by their own means, their own words, a virus is not alive. It's a dead particle from excretion from your cells.
Yeah.
So it's not alive. It has no membrane. It has no reproduction system. It has no organs. It's not alive. It's a dead thing.
Yeah.
So these sanitizers is based on alcohol.
Yeah.
Alcohol is based to kill bacteria.
Yeah. Yeah,
because
but
bacteria
it's
is
not.
alive.
But it's
Bacteria
not the
is
good.
a living
It's the
thing,
kind
you
of
know.
alcohol that you let out of the alcohol you drink, right? It's the alcohol that makes you crazy. Actually, what's
Yeah,
it called? Ethanol. Ethanol. It's
they
more
even
like
call it spirit, you know. And when you're sanitizing your hands all the time, you know, you're not killing the virus, because the virus should, by mainstream narrative, be a dead thing.
yeah.
So all you can do with alcohol is basically you move them around on your hand, you know. You're not
Yeah.
even wiping them off. You're just moving them from the front to the backside and everywhere now.
And nobody reads the instructions or the ingredients. Nobody. When
No,
it's this list of ingredients. I mean, in this small print, so it's quite a big list.
yeah.
And one day I walked into the store and I said to the guy who was washing his hands with the satanizer, I said to him, dude, did you read the instructions? You have to wash your hand for at least 90 seconds. And if it gets dry in between, you need to rub it again. And he didn't respond, and I had to go into the shop just for one thing. And I came out of the shop and he was still washing his hands, dude. And I was like, oh man, I shouldn't have made that joke. I felt sorry for the guy.
But imagine you have cleaning yourself. You've been saying to people you have to clean your house every day, wash your hands 10 times a day, using sanitizers, wear a mask on your face. You know, all these things are hurting you. It's hurting your immune system. Your immune system needs this practice. It needs bacteria, you know, to evolve. I don't believe in viruses. I don't know where you're at on that point, but I don't believe in viruses at all. You know, I believe that what they're measuring is just an excretion from our own body, from our own immune system, and I think our body was perfectly capable of curing itself before we started fucking it up. You know, so it all depends on how much poison and medicine you have been taking your entire life.
Right.
Because if you have taken some kind of medicine your entire life, you just can't stop. You just can't say, "Oh, I see the truth. Medicine is bad for you. I have to stop." No, you have to reverse that path. You know, because
Process.
yeah. Because if you let's just say you're a smoking guy, you know, and you've been smoking for 20 years, you know, you just can't stop from one day to the other. You need to cut down a little before you can stop. And I think it's the same thing with medicines and all the poison we've been taking. We need to reverse that process till we get to a point where we can quit, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah. I just want to shout out to Sven P.
Sweet pea in the house. Okay.
Yeah, it's a friend of mine. He's the best guy. So I haven't seen him for a while.
Right.
So how are things in Holland?
Yeah. Well, they let go of most of the regulations, like we had this night curfew, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we couldn't go out from 9 in the evening until 6 in the morning or 5 in the morning, I forget. And so we had that for a while, for a few months, and of course we had the mandatory masks, and that's off. That's also off now, and so things are pretty much back to normal. I don't know how life is for bars and pubs, but I think they can open up now. You know, I don't participate that much in life anymore. I
pulled out too, you know, and I've even remembered all the people who didn't want me through this pandemic, you know, this wave. You know, it's actually amazing. I've only been kicked out of 3 stores in all this time. Only 3 times I've been kicked out, and those 3 places are in my neighborhood, and I don't come there anymore. Now I can, but they're just on the blacklist now. You know,
yeah, same here. Same here. 3 shops. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what you're supposed to do. If you treat it bad, you know, in a place where you actually demand service, you know, don't come back. You know, if you come to a restaurant and the waiter refuse to pour your wine, you're not going to come back there.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So, because he thinks you look like an alcoholic or something, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, if they judge you over a thing like this, they don't deserve my business.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's just the way I see it. So I
You know,
remember everything.
what worries me about it is that it's always very young people. You know, it's always very young people, like people under 30, that tell me what to do. Like there's no, and the same goes for government. Actually, it's all young people. There's no more wise old man anywhere. There's no more grown-ups
No,
telling people how to behave or what to do. It's all
you know why?
youngsters.
Because all the
Yeah,
grown-ups
I
know
why.
something is wrong. All the grown-ups had this gut feeling telling him it's wrong,
Right?
you know. And maybe they are embarrassed, you know. I think that's a big part of it. They're not going to have a part of this because they know it's wrong and they're embarrassed of doing it, you know. And young people are just buying it hook, line, and sinker, and they're more outgoing. So that's why you hear from young people, I think. But I see a lot of youth in Denmark who's actually not buying into the narrative. So I'm pretty positive when it comes to our youth.
Yeah.
It doesn't look that bad. Of course, you have then the total sheeps there too, but I meet a lot of people, and I've actually gotten a lot of young people to drop the mask. You know, so yeah, I have better success with the young people than I have with the people from. The worst is from 40 to 60.
Yeah.
You know, the people from 40 to 60, and I think that's the gut feeling. They're at the time of their life where they had time to sit down and actually think about life. You know, young people hadn't had that chance. You know, you go into school, you have to have an education, you need a job, you need to get married, you need to get kids, you need to get a house, you need to get a car. They don't have the time until they're 30, 40, you know?
Yeah.
So I think when you turn 40, you actually have the time to sit down and say, wait a minute.
Yeah, well,
something's wrong here.
Unless you're disabled or something, you know, if you have like time to spare time, you know, unless somebody gets sick and has to be in the hospital for several weeks or so, and they don't know what to do with their time, and so they're just gonna read or they're just gonna watch some videos, you know, then they might get to some knowledge. But yeah, life is just too busy. Yeah. And well, young people want to fit in, right?
Yeah, and yet they want to be rebels too. So I think there are two camps. You know, I see a lot of people. I actually see a lot of graffiti for once around. What Corona is a hoax, and all this. It's written on the trains. It's written on the metros. It's written everywhere. So people are aware. You know, especially younger people. I saw a graffiti painting on a station the other day where you see a kid. He painted a kid like maybe a teenager, you know, with a mask on, and above was the lyrics, "Mom, are you happy now?" And the kid was crying, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's deep, and that was painted by from a graffiti painter, you know. So
That's
I think
intense.
more than many young people see it. They are just a little more afraid to stand out and say what they have. You and me will live a long life, you know, and they can only hurt us so much, you know. But they still have their whole life in front of them, and they still don't know what's right and wrong. They don't have that experience yet, so they're more afraid of standing out, I think.
Yeah. So what do you think about the situation in Australia? I mean, that's pretty dire there.
It seems crazy, you know. I've trouble finding out how much of it is reality, but I also see stuff coming over there that's been made. So yeah, I think it's bad. I've talked to some people over there, and they say it is bad, but in some places it's not as bad as they say. So, yeah, but there are mandatory vaccines and all that now. So, yeah, that's crazy.
That they also have a night curfew now, and
Yeah,
it's mandatory masks also in the streets, I think.
yeah, it is. That's just crazy, you know.
Yeah, man.
That's
But
the
it used
dumbest thing I've
they
ever
had that
seen.
they had that mandate in Germany too, right? Also masks in the street.
Yeah, I think they tried. Didn't they implement it in France too? I think.
It could be. I don't know. I haven't seen that. But yeah, it was like that in Belgium too. I traveled to Belgium last year, and it was like I was in another world, dude. Just like, and the girl I met, I took her to Holland, and the same for her. She felt like, wow, it's like it didn't happen here in the Netherlands, right? I said, well, just act normal, just act normal. And she said, well, people are hugging their grandmother, and if Belgian people would see that, they would just die instantly, you know. And I said, well, just never mind, you know, things are normal here still in Holland that time. And then things gotten crazy here too, and now it's back to normal. But yeah, like you said, it's just a recess. It's just a recess.
It is, and I see they just implemented new laws that will take. Some of them will be in the start of September, and some of them are coming mid-September. So it's very clear, and also the Corona passes that they made in Denmark, expires in September. They have put in a limitation on the Corona passes. They expire the 31st, the day before October. You know, all the Corona passes expire. So there has to be something coming.
What's a Corona pass? You mean like a vaccine passport?
You know, it's a little different thing. You don't have to be vaccinated to get it. If you can show documentation that you already had it, you can apply for a vaccine or a Corona passport. And if you had a test, it will last. If you haven't got it, you have to be tested every 72 hours. You know, that's like 2 or 3 times a week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy. You know, and people are doing it.
Yeah.
They're doing it gladly so they can sit at the cafe and sip their coffee and eat their cake. You know, that's the only reason they do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? When the period of this Corona pass was? You know, 3 weeks after they implemented the Corona passes, they gave us this recess.
Sure.
You know,
that's crazy. That's crazy.
No, it's exactly right up the alley. It's the part of the plan, you know, because if you can't force people to take the Corona passes if they're not allowed to go to the movies, or they're allowed to go to the theater, or they're allowed to go to the cafes and the restaurant, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
Because that's where the force is, you know. So if people are just sitting at home, they don't need a Corona pass,
right?
You know? Yeah. So you give them a recess. You can say you can come back to the cafe. You just need the passport. You can come back to the movies. You just need this passport. You know? So that is another issue with the recess. It's just to implement the rule set and see how many is complying.
So what do you think is gonna? What do you think lies in the near future? Like more protests or more violent protests, or
we have to stand up at some point.
Yeah, we have to become violent, right? Because
no, we have to stand up and let them become violent. We can't instigate it.
Yeah, but okay. So, but when they become violent, you're gonna have to fight back, right? You're not gonna.
At some point,
I mean, you can't. Oh, they became violent towards me, and now I'm gonna have to write a letter to the mayor and to the president. No, that's not how you win a war, right? That's because it is a war.
It is. It's gonna be a war within the next 6 months, I think. So it's going to be a flat-out war, because now I see that they are trying to mandate that your kids are getting vaccinated too.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm not going to budge. You know, so I already see vaccinated children at my son's school. Even 2 from his class is vaccinated. And you know what's going to happen when the majority is vaccinated, you know?
Yeah.
They're going to demand that the rest is vaccinated so they can get this herd immunity, you know?
Yeah.
So, and then you can't let your kids can't come to school unless they're vaccinated. And if they can't go to school, oh, you're a bad parent, you know? You need to do what's necessary to get your sons to school, because we have forced school in Denmark. You have to send your kids to school. You just can't keep them at home. So
you cannot private school them. Is that illegal?
You can, but you still have to follow the pensum, and you need teachers from the outside, and they can implement that on you're not vaccinated as well as the schools. So it's not going to be a difference. You're just going to prolong it. You know, if you can do this and you can do this, but in the end, you're just pushing the problem down the line. And at some point, you need to take that stand. And before, the sooner we do that, the sooner we will be ready for it. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. I've been saying it on this channel for a while now. I try to get people ready, because it's coming.
Yeah.
And you know, if you open the door and it's raining outside, you're gonna say fuck, you know. But if you read the forecast the day before and you know it's raining, you're prepared for it, you know.
Right.
And I think that's what we need to do. We need to prepare. We need to prepare ourselves mentally, and we need to prepare ourselves, our life, accordance to what is going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
So if you are taking the bus or the train to work every day, you know you can't do that in 3 months unless you take the vaccine.
Yeah.
So start finding an alternative. Start finding other ways around the system, you know, until you know that there's going to be a fight. And when there's a fight, well, I'm ready.
Well, I think there's going to be we're going to get a lot of backlash from the people that actually got vaccinated, because they're going to be disappointed when they turn up sick, you know, when when the sickness starts to hit them, and they're going to be diagnosed with COVID-19 and say, well, how can I have the COVID when I was vaxxed? I mean,
you know what they're going to say? You know,
they're going to be.
They're going to say you and me. You know.
Well, I think some people, that's what's happening now, and that's what's being promoted, of course. But there's also a part of that group that says, well, now I got the vaccine and I still didn't have my freedom back. Still have to wear the muzzle. And so I think that's gonna be a very angry mob.
They are playing us out against each other. They want us to fight each other. They want a civil war. You know, that's what they want. They don't want to kill us all, because they can't. If we stand up today, we're gonna just throw them out of parliament, and it will all be over. You know.
Yeah.
The best thing always in a fight, you know, that's divide the people and let them fight among themselves. You had it in the States. You had it in any war you've ever seen. You know, you divide everything in 2 camps, and you let those 2 camps fight each other, and then you roll in and take the land. And that's what they're doing, and they're doing it right now. Yeah, I was watching a lot of the places that's open up, and you know what? They're all claiming to have 50% vaccinated people. So I think there's a threshold on 40 or 50%. If you have that many vaccinated people, you can open up, because now the fight is on. You know, now you have people taking ownership of this thing they have in their body. You know, and they're gonna blame you when the shit is gonna hit the fan. So that's what they want. They want us to be like 50-50, you know. And either the other side is convincing us to take the vax, which is not going to happen, we know that, or it's going to instigate a fight, you know. But it's not going to be the government this time. It's going to be your neighbor. It's going to be your family, and it's going to be everybody around you, you know.
Yeah.
even people you love is going to stand on the other side, and that's
Yeah.
going to be the hard part, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm just going to drop the link again. If anybody wants to join, we can do a threesome. I don't care, you know. I'm not picky like that.
There's enough distance between us. We can do a threesome.
Yeah. So if anybody want to join, just press that link. You know, I love to hear from everybody. Especially, I love to hear from Sven P. if he's still here. So I haven't talked to you for a while. So
He hasn't been too active lately on YouTube, has he?
What?
Sven P hasn't not been very active lately.
No, he's just like me. You know, last year I had 8 months where I just quit the internet. You know, so I do that, and I know Sven is feeling that too, because you can get consumed by this. You know.
Oh yeah.
If you sit and talk about these dark issues and these dark topics day out and day in, it's going to take you in a dark place, whether you are prepared for it or not. You know.
Yeah.
And I felt that last year. You know. All of a sudden, I had to say, "Fuck this! I'm out." You know, I don't know when I'm gonna come back, but I'm out for now. So,
yeah, I've had that too a few months ago. I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do streams anymore. I'm gonna watch less, but you know, not like I was totally tired of it. I just needed a break. You know,
do you have more, or do we want to do a threesome? I don't want to say that. That was a little too much. Can I bring another one in?
Let the other one in. But I'm just gonna have some snack within a few seconds. So.
Okay.
But I'd like to meet. Who did you invite? Who comes into the room?
I have Crystal Shaman waiting.
Aha.
Hey there.
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Hello. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I just got home, so I thought I would pop on for a few minutes.
Yeah, that's cool. It's good. It's good to hear from you. So you've been helping out a lot the last couple of weeks, and I appreciate it so much. So today I have people to talk to. I'm a happy man today.
Yes.
This is why I'm best. You know, I'm not good at sitting here talking to the camera up here. I don't like that. I want to talk to people.
Well, you're doing great.
Yeah, I have people to talk to. So now I'm good.
Yes. Well, I look at this as a spiritual battle because I think, and this is just my personal opinion, you know, don't say that everyone has to agree with me, but I think that the jab is harmful, you know, to a person.
It's the mark of the beast.
That's how I feel too. I feel like it disconnects you from the creator portion.
It's written.
And I know it's just, you know, the Bible is their scriptures.
Don't receive the mark of the beast in your forehead or in your forearm. Can you put that into reality? That's a mask and a vaccine. It's not hard to see. You know, I think it's right here, and it's right in front of our eyes, and especially people who believe in God and the Bible should see this as a problem, because I have a saying. Normally, I say, how many coincidences does it take to make a conspiracy? You know, it can only be a coincidence for so long. At some point, it needs to be a conspiracy.
Well, here's the thing that I've learned is there are no coincidences.
No.
I'm sorry, Boy, go ahead.
Actually, the Bible showed me that.
No, I wanted to react to that. Like that's when people say that you are a conspiracy theorist, I mean, it's very easy to tell them like, oh, but you are a coincidence theorist, right? It's like, yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything is a coincidence.
yeah. Oh, that's just a
You know,
coincidence.
for example, all the manufactured events, the two buildings that got brought down,
Yeah,
all the things that, all the events that are created, and I mean, and they do harm people. It's not that they are fake. It's, you know, real events happen, but they're manufactured and made to happen, just like the
mm,
two buildings that came down.
yeah,
Well, those two buildings have to happen to be on a ley line.
yeah.
You know, I don't find that a coincidence.
No.
So the places where events are happening are on ley lines. So think about that.
Yeah, I know. But you do know what is enough for me? All these bad things are described in The Simpsons. That's enough for me. I don't need anything else, you know? That tells me that it's a part of a script that was written a long time ago, you know?
Yes, this has been planned for so far back, people don't realize that it was planned long, long ago.
They plan 100 years ahead. And that's what we need to realize. They plan 100 years ahead. You know, many think when they came out with Agenda 21 in 92, it was about the year 2021. No, it's not. It's about the 21st century, you know. That's what they do. They plan 100 years ahead every time. So there's no coincidences. Everything is scripted and everything is planned. So yeah, I agree. And it is a spiritual battle, Crystal.
Yes, it is. Um, Unfortunately, I know someone who took their own life.
Yeah,
Lately,
I'm sad to hear.
like
I'm so sad.
lately,
My heart
Crystal.
is just, yes, my heart is just ripped up.
Yeah. Is it through this pandemic?
He, it happened in June,
Oh
but
my
he's
God.
in the UK, so
Yeah.
I only found out about it a week or so ago. And he's a truther on YouTube.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, you know, having communication with him via Hangouts because that was easier for us to talk, and we could talk on the phone as well, you know.
Yeah.
So I know everything that was going on in his life, and it was, you know, having some personal, you know, things go on. But the problem was he was being spiritually attacked,
Yeah.
and he
And
couldn't take it anymore. His solution, his
well,
only way that he could get away from it was to leave.
yeah. Well, I take it personal too, you know.
And the people, you
It's a
know,
personal
I
thing.
hear people on YouTube talking about him, and they're saying, you know, not very flattering things about him, but I know the truth because I was talking to him up until that time, and
Yeah.
it
You
all
have to
came
block that
down
out.
to him being attacked, you know, and it was by bad stuff, and I'm not kidding. And you know, people don't really think that stuff exists, but it does. And that was the
I
No,
only
know.
I know
way
it is.
he could get
I know it
away
does.
from it.
I've seen it here too. You know, I've been down there. What I see myself as a pretty strong guy, but I was way down in that hole too. I was all the way on the floor before I crawled myself back in this. I almost gave up as well. I'm just not a quitting guy, you know. So I can't do that. So
I think
yeah,
he thought he was stronger on the other side than here, you know, and it may be true, but
Yeah, or maybe you just
But,
get to a
you know,
point where there's nothing left for you here.
Yeah.
no, I mean, he told me details, so
Okay.
I know a lot about, you know, what was going on. So I know that's why.
Yeah, okay.
But anyway, it is a spiritual battle, and
It is.
you know,
It is.
I've been attacked myself by something bad before, long ago, but you know, I beat it. So I mean, um, it's kind of like he made a mistake and he opened himself up, and that thing attached to him, and he couldn't get it off. So that's
Yeah.
what happened to him. And you know, my heart is just still wrenched about it, and it will never the same.
No, of course not. I'm so sorry to hear that, Crystal.
But anyway, so some of our problems, you know, seem kind of not quite as big as that. You know, we just have to try our best to get through all of this. That is my thought. Is here's one thing: I don't want to be reincarnated back into this shit as a baby. You know, no.
I feel you. I feel you.
So our only option is we must survive.
Do you know what I thought the other day, or some time ago? My daughter came and asked me how old I think I would get. You know, and I didn't have an answer for her. You know, she said, "Do you think you're gonna turn 100?" And you know what came out of my mouth? Oh God, I hope not.
What?
Oh God, I hope not. That
Why
was my
so?
answer. I didn't have time to think it over. As you know, I shouldn't have said that. It just blew out of my mind because in my mind, I realized that I wasn't even halfway. Just the thought of me not being halfway scared the shit out of me. I was like, "Oh shit, I don't. I hope not." You know. Yeah. So
That's a weird way of looking at it, but now you know. Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, it's I feel it too. So yeah, I want to bring in my brother from another mother, sitting in Bournemouth in Britain, because
Go ahead.
he's one of the coolest guys I've ever met. So
Sven P.
yes, Ben P. Yeah,
There he is. Hey,
there
Sven.
he
It's
is.
been a long time.
How you
How
doing,
you doing,
guys?
my friend?
Hi, Crystal. Nice to meet you. How are you all doing?
You're good.
Hello, Sven. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, good. It's funny, every time I'm hearing people talk like yourselves, you know, I can identify with so much of what's going on with the struggles and everything else. And I was hearing Voy earlier saying about I've been pretty quiet on my channel. And it's because of that, you know, there's so much crap going on at the moment. It just occupies so much of your mind that sometimes it stops you dead in your tracks with trying to get messages out and concentrate on doing something that might be beneficial. So the last few months, I'll be honest, it's been a bit of a struggle here. How are you guys doing?
Well, right now I'm good, but I had that struggle in springtime. Like 6 months ago, I was through that, so I know exactly what that's like, and I think you learn that along the way. You learn yourself and your limitations, and you learn to see that you have to take these breaks. You have to detach yourself a little.
Absolutely,
Yeah. So it's important to do that, and I see many following suit. You know, I see many in the community. It's not a taboo anymore to just take a few months off and say I'm not handling this right now. It's more like a trend. So
well,
that's
I mean,
good.
I do you like my globe Earth behind me above the fiction section of my books?
Yeah, I see a little one up there. You know, I wasn't
Yeah.
sure if that was the Earth or the Moon.
No, It's definitely the spinning water ball that we're all living on that spins at 1,000 miles an hour around the equator through a vacuum of space.
Yeah. The
yeah.
bendy water.
That's right, bendy water and space time. But yeah, it's just been crazy. I mean, like even in my personal life, it's getting to a point now where family are falling out. Now with me, I've heard about it with a lot of other people, and up to now, it's not really affected me. But only last week it did affect me, and somebody's basically told me that due to my views, I'm regarded as an extremist.
You are.
And well, yeah, by comparison, I guess I am, aren't I?
Yeah.
And it was like,
I can relate to exactly what you're saying, Sven.
Yeah, and it's crazy because you're hearing it from the people closest to you in the family as well. It's not just a third cousin removed, you know.
Right there, yeah.
So it ain't very nice. And then you got well, I don't want to make it into a Sven family problem show, but just to round it all off at the end of the week, the mother of my daughter, because I'm divorced, has decided to tell my daughter to block me on her phone, and she'll be checking to make sure my daughter has blocked me off her phone. So my only contact to my daughter has been cut off as well now. It's absolutely crazy, knowing I have no jurisdiction over my daughter because she lives in Germany and I live in England. And so this is the thing: you only have to fall out with the wrong people within your family circles, and suddenly it makes your life very difficult.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm so sorry.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to hear that.
That is just terrible.
It's heavy. It's heavy because you think if people are that paranoid about somebody like us, you know, about us being a potential danger and all this sort of nonsense. I mean, the person who basically from my family who thinks that by saying what he said to me, he's protecting the family from me. You know, they're so badly informed and misinformed. It's absolutely crazy. I mean, I've had this conversation 18 months ago. We've all spoken about this. I put videos out on it about, you know, this is a battle against the misinformed. Yes, it's a spiritual battle, but there are so many people who still believe the nonsense. It's just absolutely crazy. I mean, even the most basic of things they don't know about, a lot of them.
Yeah,
right?
I know. All
right.
I've even stopped trying to convince people now.
Yeah, well, I have as well, because at the end of the day, it's time to make sure we keep ourselves safe, right? And the Germans have a lovely saying. Yeah. Germans say, "Es wird Zeit, dass du deinen Arsch an der Wand bekommst," which basically means make sure you got your bottom facing the wall. In other words, you know, it's time for self-preservation because we don't have time for sentiments anymore with things like this. It's pretty brutal.
Cool. I've blocked out. I used to go on the streets and trying to convince all these people. That was a narrative of mine. I wanted to see how many people I could wake up and you know. And two things made me realize it is actually those two things that Crystal Shaman and you just brought up. Those two things made me realize that I need to stop that. You know, one, I don't know how these people that I'm trying to wake up is going to react to this. I could actually hurt these people. If they're not strong enough to know the truth, because there are people out there who can see the truth but are not strong enough to handle it, you know. And on the other hand, I have to see what you're saying, that we need to take care of ourselves first, you know.
Absolutely, you cannot. There's the old saying: you can't pour from an empty cup, and also, you know. I don't know if you know, I did put a video up last week, and it was just a 5-minute one, and I was just commenting on a vigil that was held in Bournemouth in the gardens, right? And what this person did was, and I thought it was a really good idea, what they did was they got photographs and articles on people who have died from the causes of the vaccine, and basically we put it up like banners, or he put it up like banners, but on the side of a path in a park. And what he was basically saying was, let's hold a vigil, play some somber music, a few flowers, and let people come to us and come to the posters and the banners and have a look for themselves, rather than us going to them in the streets, or maybe because a lot of people feel threatened for some reason. Yeah. And it worked really, really well.
I saw that, Sven.
Yeah, I saw it too. That's
Yeah,
very
it was
true.
good. It worked really well. He wanted to do it for 2 hours maximum, and he was there for 6 hours, over 6 hours. There was so much resonance. So people were interested because more and more people are now hearing of family members who have fallen ill. And I think that's why we're seeing a slight turn in people's opinions in the mainstream a little bit, is because someone somewhere is affected by somebody who's had the jab, right?
Yeah.
And it's just a question of who believes that it was the jab, or who believes the mainstream nonsense that be glad you had the vaccine, otherwise you'd be even more ill. Right. But that's the
Yeah,
battle.
you die less from the vaccine. You know, you die
Right.
anyway. You die less.
It's crazy, boy, right?
Yeah.
It's totally crazy that people actually believe that nonsense. It really is, you know.
Yeah, and
Well,
I think-
at least he got the vaccine. What does that matter? He's dead.
Yeah.
It's
I
nuts.
think it's important in another level because, as I said before, I think what is happening right now is exactly what they want. You know, they see us as a threat, and we start to see them as a threat. You know, so we are playing into their hands. You know, and I think what you did there was actually because it was good because you basically met on common ground. So I think that was an important. I wrote it as well on your channel. I said that was I actually kind of like that. You know, that was a good idea.
Yeah, it takes the potential for confrontation out of the equation because, like you say,
Exactly.
it kind of affects everybody, and at least it makes people think because they can't count it out that it was the vaccine, and that already is a step forward to maybe waking up. Okay, they've had their jabs, but I mean, better late than never. I don't know if it's better late than never for them because we won't know until a few months' time. You know, until we figure out because they can't kill people off all in one go. You know what I mean? They have to take the time over it.
Yeah.
But we'll wait and see. But it's all the division and the stuff like that that's the really awkward bit at the moment, and that's the horrific bit. And when I heard what Crystal was saying earlier about somebody she knows who's taken her own life, I mean, you know, there's so many people who are suffering through this. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and that's why I think it was a good idea because also the other way around, if people come and they think you're an idiot or you know they see you as a threat and all that, they have the opportunity to go away. They don't have to be there. They can retract. They can move. You know, you were there. They come to you, so you don't have an obligation in any way. You know, so I think that was a good way.
Yeah, and we didn't stand and block their way on the path. We stayed behind the barriers on the grass. So the path was always clear. People could stop if they wanted to, pretend that they dropped something on the floor if they wanted to. You know what I mean? And all that. And I remember, it just reminded me a little bit of when we were on the Globe Light tour, Brian.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
And I remember once we were saying, was it you who was telling us that if you give people a leaflet, if they take the leaflet, it means they're interested. And if they don't, it means they're not interested, right?
In Denmark, at least.
Right. And so,
like
similar to here in the south of England, the best thing to do is let them do all the moving and let them do all the talking.
Yeah.
And that seems to have worked.
Yeah.
And we had there was another big march in London as well.
All right. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah. This time the Daily Mail even made a comment about it. Not that that matters because anything that comes in the mainstream media is all crap anyway. I mean, it's just all tactics.
All twisted, all manipulated.
It's all of it. It's all scripted, the whole lot. Yeah. Even the nice headlines that might be a bit favorable towards us is all scripted.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's no doubt about it. We are the new terrorists, you know, and everybody who's gonna stand up, because right now many people around the world. It's still protesting against the mask and the restrictions, you know. But once that is gonna be purely against the vaccine, I think we're gonna see a different picture. I think it's going to be a whole lot of animal when we are standing and saying no to this vax, you know.
I heard you talking earlier about the percentages of people being jabbed. I had a conversation with somebody about this a little while ago, right?
Yeah.
And it was about, let's start at the beginning. Do we even believe the official storyline on the population of Earth? The reason why I'm asking that is because I did a bit of research not so long ago. And in 1900, so it's only 121 years ago, the so-called population of the whole of Earth
Mhm.
was about 1 billion people. So what they're saying is that in 121 years, the population has exploded to nearly 8 billion, right? That's the official narrative.
Yeah.
So that's an increase of 7 billion people roughly in 121 years. The USA is how old as a country?
It's 500.
How many people live there? And I know China hasn't got 10 million people or whatever. I mean, they did birth control in the 60s, 70s, and 80s. They only had one child per family. And apart from that, there aren't many countries that have gone into the billions worldwide. And, you know, places like Europe and all that, we have, how many do we have in Europe? About 500 million in the European area.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. And I just thought to myself, well, if that is possible to lie about that, because of course it is, because who's going to go around Delhi and Sao Paulo counting people with a tally chart? Good luck.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get any accurate sums on that. So what's to say that what they're telling us about who's been vaccinated is even true? Because the reason why I'm asking that is because over here in the UK, we still have a big PR campaign to get people jabbed.
I get
you know, we only just rolled out Paul McCartney again for the umpteenth time about 3 weeks ago. You know, it's just a continual push, this PR campaign.
Sure that the numbers are wrong at the vaccine in Denmark too. They're saying that 78% is vaccinated now in Denmark.
Do you believe that?
No, I don't believe that at all. You know,
it's not logistically possible. It's just not possible.
No.
Yeah, I agree with you, Voigt. I totally agree with you.
And meet. I can go to the street and talk to 100 people, you know, and 50 of them, 60 has not taken this at least, you know. So the numbers are wrong. I'm pretty sure, you know.
The numbers are wrong.
I think the threshold is about 40%. They need 40% to convince the rest of us. You know, they need somebody to carry the fight for them. So I think there's a threshold somewhere. Exactly where, I don't know, but I think somewhere along the lines, they need that many people to carry the load for them. The majority, you know. So.
Yeah. I mean, because we early on in the UK, they were talking about like 30, 40 odd million already jabbed and stuff. And had the second, and I'm thinking to myself, well, I've actually met quite a few people who haven't been vaccinated. Well, at least they tell me they haven't. I mean, it doesn't mean to say they haven't. But
well, in my country, there used to be there was all these pop-up locations, so to say, or mobile locations, right? But they've all been closed down, and now it's only available at, I think, 9 locations. So, but before that, it was like in maybe 100 locations. So I think that says something about it, that it's not that popular.
I think you're right. I think you're right.
When they reach a certain amount of vaccinated people, they move on to the next place. You know, maybe it's about getting
one of these pop-up vaccination center was next to my door in a church, right?
Okay, in a church of all places.
Yeah, in a church of all places that has been closed down, so nobody came to church. But so yeah, they could make something this way, I guess. And yeah, it wasn't very busy, you know, and it wasn't open every day. It was just open on Mondays and Thursdays, and it wasn't very busy. There were no queues, so.
We have a mobile test center around the corner from where I live, and it's always empty. Sorry.
Yeah.
I mean, they're skewing the statistics on purpose.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Denmark, it's very popular.
So,
I see
is
the
it
lines
to make
every day.
people think that, that many people are vaccinated, I may as well go ahead too, you know?
Yeah, I think they're back. Yeah, they're banking on the herd mentality, aren't they?
Yeah, of course, clearly. Yeah.
The problem is that people is gonna take ownership once they put something in your body. You know, you can sit next year and say, I didn't really wear the mask, only sometimes and stuff like that. You can do that. You can make excuses. But once you put that shit in your body, there's no excuses no more. You have to take ownership for that, you know. And I think
this is why I find it so astounding how easily people went along with it. Certainly the ones that I know that did. You know, that they didn't give it a second thought that they might be playing roulette.
Yeah,
it's just crazy for me.
and it's a mind bug. I've been saying this all along. It really is. They're totally shut off their brain. And if you go ask them about something, as I said, you're going to get the same answer. You know, in 90% of the cases, when I go talk to people, they say all the experts are saying differently.
Yeah.
It's the same answer every time.
It's the same answer. It's like
there's a lot of smart guys out there in the world that thinks you're wrong.
It's but it's the same routine as where you talk to people about flat Earth, right?
Exactly.
You all come to a certain point, and they will say, "Yeah, but why would they lie?" Yeah, right? It's like that.
Yeah, and they also like the proofs given to them that they can't verify.
Yeah.
Which is, I find astounding. Why would you believe anything at all that you cannot possibly prove yourself, or at least have a look at or judge for yourself? It's silly. It's stupid behavior. It's childish. In fact, even children would ask questions, wouldn't they?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
and they are.
Well, my daughter, just before I got blocked, thanks to her mum, my daughter and I were talking about how she's approaching her 12th birthday next year. And of course, in Germany, they have a ruling whereby once you hit 12, you no longer need the parents' consent, and kids are advised to have the vaccination, right? Advised, of course. So there's me always trying to put pressure on her, not put pressure on her, but keep reminding her, please don't take it. I'm not taking it, and blah, blah. And she was on board with that. Then again, how far can she be on board with that? Because as soon as I put the phone down, she's back in that bubble again. And then it's impossible to have any control over it and have any influence. But, maybe that's something that they didn't like. They didn't like my influence on that. Who knows?
Of course, that was it. I have no doubt in my mind.
Yeah. But it's just madness. And I've already spoken to people who, for example, have got problems with their parents over this topic. And they've openly said to me, it wouldn't surprise them if it's their own mum or dad who grass them up to the police when the time comes. I mean, my parents were already asked on the phone by doctors whether I live in a separate household or not, because they made it known I'm not vaccinated. I mean, why? Why would you say that? Why would you announce that?
That's insane.
Oh, that's definitely gonna happen. Yeah,
it's madness.
Children snitching on their parents and the other way around, or brothers and stuff. Of course, it's already happened.
Back in the 40s as well, it's not a new thing. It's happened before,
It's the oldest. It's the oldest romantic story, isn't it? North and South, brothers fighting uncles, fighting dads, fighting cousins, fighting sons. To create what we now know as the United States of America and all that fairy tale, right? It's the same thing, isn't it? Division right through the middle of the family.
But you see, there's no difference. But we were occupied under the Nazi regime in the 40s here in Denmark, and there was no difference. Denmark was split in two. You had the people who want to fight. You had the resistance, the underground resistance, and then you had the other ones who were collaborators. There were no regular Danish people. Everybody was divided in two camps. Either you were with the Germans or you were with the freedom fighters,
but that's the situation that is always created by these rulers or these.
Yes, exactly, Voynich. That's politics is just a form to divide people.
Everything that's what they're doing right now. This is the new world. This is the world,
And I already saw this coming.
Everything that's done is to divide people.
Exactly. Everything, languages, religion, tradition, nationalism, patriotism, whatever you want to call it, national anthems, you name it. I mean, I know people who were determined when they got the vaccination, they insisted on getting the British Oxford one. They didn't want a foreign one. I mean, talk about first world problems. Crazy, right?
Oh, man.
I was like, you're going to sing the national anthem when they put it in your arm?
Oh, right.
And they're not only dividing us, they're also playing us out against each other,
Cool.
I mean, the whole thing that a medical issue didn't become political.
Exactly. Aaron said as well, Aaron said as well, dance, puppet dance. That's what it's all about.
It's like that old saying, what was it, George W., another puppet, of course, but when he was saying, you're either with us or you're with the terrorists, right? Yeah. And it's like you always end up in that binary situation, don't you? Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Oh, we've been in World War III for years.
But there's going to be a job for everybody. I mean, they need executors, they need researchers, they need administrators. There's going to be a job for everybody, you know, because everybody that disagrees needs to be rounded up. And if everybody's rounded up, you know, they're going to find another division. Because if everybody's working for the state, then the lowest people working for the state have got to be eliminated, because that is the machine's work. You know, eliminate, divide and eliminate. That's the only thing. And they will find a reason to eliminate the people that worked for them, you know. And they will just think of something.
Yeah, they will. The next thing up will be the cashless society. Well, that'll be one of a few things.
Yeah.
And then everybody will complain, oh, no. Oh, I haven't got any cash. And they'll be like, well, I did mention this like 10 years ago. You know what I mean? People don't care.
But I was wrong, remember?
Yeah. But, you know, people don't care, though, do they? Until it actually happens. And then it's like, well, and this is the thing. This whole rollout has achieved a lot of things already. It's achieved getting people more connected to online. It's achieved, you know, people socializing less, connecting up with friends less in person and more from home. You know, the furlough scheme, the working from home, and all this nonsense that they were introducing, encouraging you to pay with card. McDonald's was the first country to officially do adverts saying we now from now on take card payments only, and that was last year. You know, they're achieving a lot of things already with this one first kind of attack, as it were.
Yeah.
They did it in one story in my town. They only had card payments, and I just loaded up my card, and I was at the counter, and I said, "What? I can only pay with a card? Okay, fuck you guys." So that, you know it, and then I returned a few weeks later, and they not because of me, of course, but they allowed cash then, so it changed.
Yeah, but I actually, if with many things, with the mask and everything, if we will stop complying, you know, that will be it will be an instant before they change the rule set. You know, it's all about the compliance. As long as they don't feel the numbers dropping in customers, they're not going to do anything. You know,
Exactly.
I'm normally using an analogy. In Denmark, we don't complain at anything at the supermarket, not even the rotten apples. If we find rotten carrots, we're just gonna throw them aside and take some fresh ones. You know.
Oh, it's the same here.
Yeah, it's terrible.
It drives me crazy.
You know? But if you go to a supermarket in Italy or in France, southern France, or even Spain, you know, Greece, who are basically poor countries, you know. If you go to the supermarket, everything is just hunky-dory, you know, you don't find anything. And do you know why? Because if the guy in Greece or Italy, he finds a rotten apple in his store, he's going to go straight to the clerk and say, this is not acceptable. You know, if you just straighten this out, I'm going to shop somewhere else. So it gets straightened out right there, you know, and that's the problem in our part of Europe. You know, we just okay, it's bad. Okay, there's nothing I can do. I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste his time. It's not his fault. Yeah, but he's the only person who can do something about it, and I think that's a big problem.
That is a problem. Another problem is what we spoke about earlier, and that is you have to have people awake to a situation before they decide to stand up to it.
Yeah.
Right?
You need to see that there's a problem.
That's a problem. That's the biggest problem of all. It's like, you know, so like we said earlier, you may as well stop trying to wake people up. That's not going to work. We tried.
Yeah, I'm not stopped. I'm just stopped trying.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I will always say something to somebody. If the conversation comes up, I'll be the first. If I see someone with a face mask or their kid or whatever, I'll make a comment, stuff like that. But I've understood now that I'm not going to change the world. But what I can do is make my own life as comfortable as possible within all this madness and connect up with like-minded people and, you know, and do vigils like we did last week and approach people like that. But that's, you know.
I've woken up a guy at work, you know, when I started at work, he was wearing a mask and everything, and now he's coming every day and say, "Hey, yesterday I saw this and this," and So this guy, he really took it to him, and he listened to me and stopped wearing the thing. So
But that doesn't
so
happen very often.
no, that's the only time I've witnessed that. So
Yeah. We had a few weeks of experience of the Global Eye Tour, and it didn't happen very often that you'd wake someone up right there. They would always have to go away and think about it. And even then,
yeah,
by the time they get home and they've had the chat with their friends and they've had the whatever they drink or whatever, it might have been forgotten about anyway. But yeah, it's very rare, isn't it?
yeah, I have had a marvelous day that day. I met you guys, and we had a excellent time. And when I got home and sat and thought about it, I hadn't accomplished anything. That was the feeling I was left with, except meeting you guys and being around like-minded people.
Yeah.
But the activism itself on the street, I don't feel I made any change at all.
No,
So,
and that's sometimes that's how you feel when you're doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So we have to do it in such a way that keeps our fire burning as well.
yeah,
Because it's important that we stay on top of at least what we know and keep ourselves regenerated. I went through, like I said earlier, I went through a real low for a couple of months, where my motivation had gone and my headspace wasn't there because there were too many other things going on. And that's the thing. And then, especially if you sit down and have a think about it and think, well, where is this all going? I've already heard dates very recently. The 21st of September, for example, has been murmured as a date for a possible lockdown again.
Yeah.
In the UK.
I think so.
So, yeah, there's been a lot of roadworks that have been completed very recently as well. So I think they're going to do another surge, another test of the system. I think that's going to be part of it as well. They'll want people off the streets for that. That's what I think happened last year when they did the first lockdown. Because I did a video on that on roadworks around about that time, about a year and a half ago, I think it was.
Yeah.
And I remember asking the guy who was fixing the cable, I said to him, "Oh, what you doing this for? It goes a mile up that road and 2 miles down that road." And he said, "Oh, there was a cable fault." And I said, "A cable fault? What, for 3 miles of road?" So they've been installing stuff and they haven't been honest with a lot of things. Some of them, it's got 5G written on it, but a lot of other stuff, it just suddenly appears next morning when you get up. You're like, oh.
Yeah, and I even saw that there was yours were called Delta. There's Delta written on your 5Gs, talking about right in your face propaganda.
Yeah, mockery.
That's the Delta variant.
Mockery again. They have to always mock and show you.
Do you know what there's on our 5G transmitters?
No.
The sun god, Apollo.
Oh, Apollo.
Apollo. All the 5G transmitters in Denmark is made from a company called Apollo.
That's nice.
So you have the Delta variant and the Apollo.
Yeah, that's nice. That's very nice. I like that. I like the irony. Yeah, great. If it wasn't so sinister, I'd actually even laugh.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's bad. But if you think about it, it's just, it's really dark. Really dark. Apollo. Yeah. Wasn't he the name of the boxer in the Rocky film as well?
Yeah, Apollo Creed, yeah.
Apollo. Yeah.
That is their god.
Yeah, they went to the moon.
He's always been Apollo. They love Apollo. So, yeah. I've stopped trying to figure out who these people are because it really doesn't matter anymore because the fight is going to be turned within ourselves now. So,
yeah, internal stuff, isn't it? It's about getting that right.
So, yeah, I see no point now in trying to convince the people that there are powers above controlling us because, right now they are the problem, and I want to use common sense and logic instead, to try to hit them on this.
Yeah, remember, we have to take this thing a day at a time, right? And we have to also remember all we have is the here and now. We don't, I'm not going to start looking too far ahead in the future because it's pointless anyway. And I'm not going to worry about what's happened because that's happened. And there's no point in worrying about something that I don't know is going to happen. And anything that has happened anyway. I know I've just double spoke myself there, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I know. But I am preparing myself now because I'm not trying to. I'm not going to be afraid of what's going to happen, but I will prepare myself because if you're not prepared in these times, you know, I don't know what to say anymore because
you have to at least be mentally prepared for it, right?
Yeah,
Right.
It's about like I said to Voynich earlier, you know, if you look at the forecast the day before, you know, you're prepared that it's going to rain the next day.
You
But if
still
you
get
stand
wet,
up-
but at least you know you're going to get wet and you can deal with
Yeah.
it psychologically.
Yeah, and you prepared yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And instead of you waking up in the morning, you're all tired with sleep in your eyes, and you go to the door and it's raining outside. You're gonna go, oh fuck, I'm gonna stay home today, you know. But if you read it the day before, you're prepared for it. And you know you're gonna see rain, so you're still gonna go to work. So yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah.
You know, and preparing by purchasing guns and arms, that's not the way either. And
No.
I mean, it's, of course, it's the first reaction, right? Like, oh, they're gonna come for me. They're gonna come door to door, and I'm gonna shoot them when they come through my door. Yeah, I
No.
might. Well, I don't have a gun, but you know, I might try
Not
something.
the solution. That's not the solution at all.
No. And
But it's not a solution. No, but it's the first thing that comes to mind, right? Fight.
yeah, defending yourself. Yeah, absolutely. Of course. That's the first instinct. That's like the primal fight or flight, isn't it? You know?
But what is more important, your life or your house?
Right?
know?
Yeah, my life.
You have to choose what you're fighting for. Are you fighting for your home or are you fighting for your lives? You know?
And again, you don't know that until the moment comes,
Exactly.
because there's no way of predicting how you're going to react ever until it actually happens. You know, and I've been in training seminars regarding this sort of stuff, and it's an impossibility. Yes, you can tweak a few things here or there to make yourself characteristically a bit stronger and perhaps deal with certain things better, perhaps. But a lot of that is after the event, because you don't know beforehand.
No.
Yeah.
How could you?
And that's the thing. So we have to be prepared and expect the unexpected, as it were. You know, which to us won't be unexpected, but you know what I'm trying to say with that.
Yeah, I know. I've been there. I've done that every time. You know, I'm putting myself in the dark place. You know, I have to stop looking for answers and start looking at my reality, and that is the problem of sometimes. You know.
It can be, but don't forget there aren't very many of us around. So sometimes it's easy for our minds to wander off and go in different places, maybe that isn't as productive as we'd like. It's certainly with me. Not all my I don't have that many awake friends, like properly awake. I'm not going to, you know, when I say awake, you know, I've been on demonstrations where the guy next to me's wore a NASA hat, for example. Now that's not, you know what I mean? That's not awake. That's okay to make up the numbers. But when I say awake, people who are going to enrich my lives and I can learn from them and also spiritually grow, there aren't many of those around.
No.
There are not.
You know, when we were protesting just for the restrictions, we were 1,200 people on the street in Copenhagen. You know, 1,200. The moment they took away the vacation money, the paid vacation, they took that away last summer. The numbers grew to 8,000. You know.
Oh wow!
And that just tells you that people are there for all the wrong reasons. You know.
Yeah, you can see where people's priorities lie, right?
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's human nature at its finest.
And when they dropped the claim of our vacation money, everybody just scattered. You know. Then it was over, and that's the problem. People are too narrow-minded and they don't see the bigger picture. Even those who can, you know. So
is it Sven? Is it human nature or is it human culture?
I think it's a bit of both, isn't it? A bit of both. This is the thing. What came first, nurture or nature? And that's a very interesting topic in itself. I mean, you could do shows on that. I suppose that would be an interesting topic to talk about. You know, it's like the alcoholism thing, isn't it? What's an alcoholic? Is it someone who's drank himself to become one, or was he born an alcoholic? And what is alcoholism? Is it someone who drinks till they fall over every day, or is it someone who needs a drink to function? And all those little nuances, you know, there's little things, gray zones, isn't there?
Yeah. Because I think we lost our
Yeah.
human nature like
Yeah.
Crystal,
decades ago, right? I think, yeah, I think we lost. We are so much cultivated that's why I asked you that question. Like, there's no such thing as human nature anymore. Not in our culture. I mean,
No.
because we have been, because we've been so far away from nature all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
we can take a walk, we can take a stroll, but it's not being in touch with nature. That's not.
No, that's not being connected. That's certainly right. I mean, you know, to go into the zoo once every 10 years is not connecting you with nature.
No, right? Yeah.
for some it is.
Oh, yeah, that's the problem. For
That
most,
is
it
the
is.
problem. Exactly the problem right there.
And when,
But
and
yeah.
when I think of myself, I mean, I'm part of that culture, right? Of that human culture.
Yeah.
And when I think of myself, like trying to escape this madness or this whole system, I mean, I have to start for myself because I don't have any friends, you know, so I must be realistic about it. So what am I going to do? Dig a hole and cut down trees to make a living? And then what? I'm living in the middle of the woods or in the middle of a field. And, you know, what am I going to do? I need to plant seeds. I need to kill animals. I need to make a fire. I need to have water. I mean,
Make your own spoon.
right?
Simple
And
stuff.
we need to
you
do
know?
live streams.
Yeah, that's another thing to worry about, right?
You know what I mean? No, that's the most important thing, mate. Never mind food and water.
Yeah.
That's
But
why
if
I know.
you
That's
are
why I
around
know a lot of
other
people, and even in our community, would struggle when the shit hits the fan. I know for a fact.
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
You know, and it's like, what have you actually done to prepare yourself? Do you even know how to light a fire without a lighter? And I guarantee 99 out of 100 people will say no idea.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
you know, how do you open a tin?
Without a tin opener. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Drop
God.
it
End
in
of the
the
world.
fire.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's these are the people who look at their phones for the weather forecast instead of looking out the window that's right next to them.
Oh, dude, I worked on ships, right, with skippers. No, they're pretty close to nature. They're close to the sea, right? They work in the weather all day and
Yeah.
every season. But ever since these apps, these weather apps came out, they don't know shit. They look at their app. They come outside and they say, "Well, my phone says it's raining, but it's not raining." And I'm like, "Fuck, dude. I had respect for you, but this
That's
just
just
really
stupid.
starts."
I'm just going to show this again. I don't know if you all saw it. I'm going to show this one again. And see, just look at these people with their phone in their hand, you know, and the mask on their face. Nobody's having a conversation. This is rush
Yeah.
hour in Denmark. Rush hour. Nobody's talking. Nobody's looking out the window. Everybody's looking down in their phone. Or looking
Well,
at the
don't-
rear guys without a mask.
Well, don't ever use the underground in London because it'll be the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's not because of the latest thing. I mean, it's been like that for, well, at least the last 10, 15
Yeah, but
years.
the muscle helped a lot. It
Yeah,
really did.
yeah, it does, of course.
But
yeah.
I think, I mean, looking at that video, it just shows that the measures, how that all adds to people distancing themselves from each other more and more and more, losing that connection to nature, as it were, or humanity, or whatever you want to call it, that's not really there in the first place. You know, and then you've got the latest gadgets and social media and everything else that comes to it. And before you know it, you have a disconnect amongst people in society, don't you?
Yeah. Yeah, but it's not only with nature. Now it's human interaction, emotions.
That's what I
Micro
mean by that.
emotions.
That's
Yeah,
yeah,
they're totally gone now.
yeah.
Some people I can't feel anymore. I can stand right in front of them and see their face, and I can't feel any emotions at all.
Yeah, this is interesting because I'm thinking this as well, right? I've had conversations with people who have had their second jabs and all that sort of stuff. And when I talk to them, I'm not too sure if a lot of that change is me, whether it's within me that change or whether it's both. So I'm noticing a change with people in general who have had the procedure, as it were. And because I think we must be all spiritually growing right now, right?
Yeah, I think we are the one changing the most. I think if you remember the scene from The Matrix, if you think about it, you'll realize that it's not the spoon bending, it's you.
I only watched it for the first time in my life 2 weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Remember the scene where he says, you will come to the conclusion that it's not the spoon bending, but only yourself. And I think that's is what's happening now. We are changing so rapidly. Basically, these people are the same as they were 20 years ago. They're not changing at all. We are the one changing. We are the ones seeing things differently. So I think that was the biggest change is happening.
So what are you saying? Are we the spoon or are they the spoon?
No, we are looking at the spoon and realize
Okay.
that we are bending.
Yeah.
What does Uri Geller have to say about all of this?
No, he would break the spoon.
Yeah, he would. Yeah. Poor guy, he'd be out of a job.
But it's the realization that we are the one changing and not them. They are actually the same as we were 20, 30 years ago.
No, but what I mean is, what about the stuff they're putting in their body?
Well, haven't we done that for a long time?
Is
anyway?
that no? But I'm saying, could that not be also having an effect
It could.
that we might be noticing?
I just saw it way before that, I think.
Because I have a feeling like even people in my family who I know have had it, they seem a little bit different to how I know them normally.
Yeah.
Recently, So I'm wondering how much of that is me and how much of that is actually happening.
Yeah.
Of course, well, it does change people. Of course it does.
Of course it does.
I've heard that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's bizarre because it's like one of those zombie apocalypse movies coming true, isn't it, for us?
Isn't it amazing? Just I said this in my last stream too. If you go see I Am Legend with Will Smith, where a vaccine turns everybody to zombie in Manhattan, that movie plays out in 2021.
Yeah, there you go.
Mad Max 2, right? Mad Max 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that another coincidence, a zombie apocalypse.
You can't make this stuff up, as they always say.
Yeah, really. But you can. They did 100 years ago.
You
You can't make it up, but you can plan it.
Or you just make it up as you go along.
You just use the same script at the last century. It's basically simple. That's what they're doing. There's no difference from what's happening now that happened 100 years ago. First you had the Spanish flu, and then you're gonna have the Big Depression, and you're gonna have another war, and it's the same bullshit all over again.
Yeah, it is, but this time it's like we're going to be living through it for the rest of our lives. This particular thing is a bit different to the everyday bullshit.
Is it? Could it just go
because
away
normally,
like it did last time?
Well, no. What I mean by that is
no.
It's the
It's not gonna
technology
go
that
away.
has made such a leap that,
Yeah,
that changes the whole.
The surveillance.
what we're living through now is something that's going to be with us now for the rest of our lives, because they've proved, and that's what they wanted to, that at a drop of a hat they can just enforce lockdowns, come up with a new variant, and Bob's your uncle, right? So that's going to be easy for them.
Now they have the surveillance system as well. So
of course, and then created the divisions that can only get worse rather than better, as we alluded to earlier. So when you have all those things in place, yeah,
Yeah.
I have a document from the FDA about the jab when they approved it. The dates they have on this document of the steps they are going to take are clear out to 2025.
Yeah.
And the final report will be admitted at 31st of December on 2026. That's the final report date. And they're going to close the experiment in 2026 in July. I think I also saw the same document. Yeah.
And on worldbank.org, they talk about this very 5-year project.
Yeah.
It's called the COVID-19 project. It's in their documents.
Yeah, that's just crazy, man.
I mean, it's, and it's not even difficult to get hold of. I know about it.
Yeah.
So, and it's like, wow, what are we not seeing here? Well, quite simple, really. The media are owned by the same people, whoever they are, doesn't matter. And that's as far as it's simple as that. Without the media, none of this happens.
No, that's been my kicker for a long time now. I think
the way it is.
Yeah, I think there's something in those media, because I haven't seen, TV and radio. I haven't listened to that for 20 years now, and funny enough, I've been awake for 20 years. So, just getting more and more awake, So could it be a signal of some kind, that implemented in people? I don't know. We don't know if the more they are amping up the signal in 1, 3, 2, 3, 4, 5, the worse it gets. So could it just be somewhere in the signal? Is my question.
That's what I am wondering. I have to tell you that my ex-boyfriend is in the hospital. He's been in the hospital for almost 3 weeks. They told him he has COVID. He pretty much almost died. My brother also had the illness of some sort December of last year. He almost died. There is definitely something affecting people. We all know the test is not a legitimate test for a virus. So,
well, that was my first red flag, was the test.
Yeah, the only other thing I can think of is the frequency type things.
Yeah, well, we can't see it. That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah, you can't even feel it. So
there's no way we can. The only thing we can do is see a change in our own health or other people's health, a change in our moods, whatever. I mean, I know there's a lot of anxiety going around recently where I live. Whether that's connected with that or it's whatever, I don't know.
Yeah, I saw it. When they did the first lockdown. That was that's where I saw it the first. That it started. People changed in an instant.
Yeah, they did.
Every logic, thought, and every rational, mindset just went out the window in like a month or two or something like that during the lockdown. So,
I'm pretty sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go on. Sorry.
I was going to say, I'm pretty sure that frequency weapons and such are, and, well, I'm doing a lot of research on bioelectromagnetics right now. Around the towers, what happens is it creates like a dirty smog, just like the electricity smog.
Dirty electricity.
Yeah, and it's harmful for you. That's what's created around the towers. But I can tell you from my own experience, September of last year, because I was sent to work from home last year in March, of course. And I was sitting there working at the computer, and I picked up my phone and instantly started going unconscious. I mean, I was like falling over like a tree in the chair. It was almost like somebody flipped a switch. Now there's at least six or seven towers I know of close to my home, unfortunately. And then suddenly it stopped. It was literally almost like someone flipped a switch. And
Because they probably
Campbell,
did.
Yeah.
yes, Campbell on Autodidactic, he had the same thing happen to him, except
did he?
however, unfortunately he was driving, and he ended up having a wreck because he ran off the road because he became unconscious. So you know, there is no one that's going to convince me otherwise that there's not frequency stuff being used on us, around us, against us, you know. And ultimately, I mean, I don't know why anyone would want to wipe us all out. You know, I'm not so deranged that I even begin to understand why, you know. But, you know, I definitely believe that there is frequency war against us going on.
There's
sorry,
no
Sven,
doubt
go
about
ahead.
this playing a part, because you can see the agenda, you can see the rollout of 5G. There's no, it's purely part of their plan. That's not hard to see. How it works. Yeah, go on. Sir.
Oh, sorry. I'm just going to say we have digital motorways that open in 2023 here. We know that all new cars that come off the assembly line are basically computers on wheels. Most households are connected up to smart meters.
Right.
And you know, and a lot of things now, like we said earlier, most transactions now are done online. I hardly see any bank branches open anymore. All the banks that used to be on my high street are all closed. There's one left. There used to be about 8.
Right.
80% of all banks in Denmark have closed down.
And that's the thing. It's all going towards that, getting the population used to no longer interacting with each other, getting, you know what I mean? It's all that push. It's all going in that direction. They want less and less activity on the street, certainly no social activity if possible. They've already sort of crucified our pub culture, for example, in the UK years ago. So all these places where people used to go, meet, hang out, blah, 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 it's getting less and less and less and less. That's part of what they're achieving as well right now, you know, and they're making it very difficult for people to get into venues if they want to get in, and they haven't had things done to them.
They don't want you to go around each other. They don't want you and me near the regular people, if you want. You know, they don't want us to mingle. They don't want us to interact. They want us to go to work and go home and sit and talk to people online. That would be the perfect world for them, you know.
Well, that's okay. We can make that our perfect world like we are right now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was going to ask Crystal, actually, whereabouts are you in the States? If you are even in the States. You sound American. That doesn't mean to say you are there, though.
Yes, I'm American. In the Mid-South section, a little bit central, Mid-South.
Texas?
Above that a little.
Oh, right. Okay. I haven't got my US map ingrained in my head, so I'm trying to work out where that is roughly. But yeah.
Tulsa.
Kind of got it. I've never been there. So
I've been there twice, and it's not as bad as they say.
I've not heard any bad things about America, not from people who have been there, visited and come back.
In Denmark, when I was young, America was just portrayed as the villain, you know. That was all propaganda here. Is about everything that was bad in the world started in the States, you know. So we were kind of brought up with United States being the villain, and then I went there and I found out it was filled with nice people. So that was kind of weird.
That is weird because usually it's the other way around, right? Like America is the savior of Europe, right? America.
Land of the free, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, God blimey, yeah, that narrative has been going for years, hasn't it? After World War II,
Yeah.
they really milked the American hero position in politics and on the world stage and everything. And it was and actually and it's funny because amongst the Brits, a lot of animosity was grown towards. I mean, I don't believe any of that nonsense anymore. I used to buy into all that patriotic crap many years ago because my dad was in the British Army and I was brought up to, believe in that stuff. We went to military schools, God Save the Queen. My dad was always in uniform. It was all very, very British. So you also bought in very quickly to the animosity you had against certain countries. France was top of the list. America was one of them. And Germany, of course, was another one, even though our whole monarchy stems from Germany, but they wouldn't tell you that at school. And and all that sort of stuff that is confusing in itself. Now I know what I know, of course, it's all bullshit and nonsense, right? But but at the time, I expended a lot of energy sticking up for my patriotic, you know what I mean? And it's nonsense. What an idiot I was.
You gotta hate somebody.
Yeah, but what's an
You
idiot?
just can't walk around being happy. You gotta hate somebody.
Don't be like Jesus. Hate somebody.
Yeah, hate somebody. And it's
Hate
like,
someone.
and it shows you, right? There are a lot of those sort of communities within society, like the military community, for example, or whatever. Every nation has it. And they all think ultra mainstream for a while. But some of them within their duties actually do change, which is also quite interesting.
Yeah.
So maybe there's hope. Who knows?
Well, I
There's
think
always
that's I've been reading the Bible a lot lately, and it says that hope. I don't must say, and I hope you're gonna forgive me, but I still don't believe in God, but I do believe in the Bible. I do believe in what I read there, and there's a certain amount of truth in there. It just needs to be picked and found.
Yeah, everybody has to use their own discernment, right? I mean, it's like what you would do if you do research for anything. Vary your sources and draw your conclusions based on good, sound common sense.
Yeah.
And that's all you can do, really, because that's all we have. We don't have any proof of anything from the past, really.
Once you realize that all you have is your gut feeling, so it can get kind of scary and kind of intriguing too. Anything is possible.
It's okay not to know.
It goes both ways,
Yeah, but it's true though. It's okay not to know, and this is also a problem. People want an answer, and they want an answer quick. And it's the thing, and that's the life we live at the moment. That's the society kids are being born into right now. When's the last time? I can't remember the last time I sat around a table with lots of family members and had a dinner.
Yeah.
For example.
And nobody wants to be wrong. Nobody wants to be the failure. No one wants to fail. It's taboo to fail these days.
Well, it's about peer pressure, isn't it? It's about saving face in front of everybody else.
Yeah. And when you fear failure, I believe that the best way you learn stuff is within your failures and being wrong. That's where it hits the hardest, and you learn stuff from your mistakes. So I think that's very important. And when you weaponizing fear, you're gonna have a problem with people, because people will no longer fail. They will try to be right at any time, and that's what we're seeing right now. Nobody wants to be wrong. And
it's a big ego thing, right? It's a false ego. I mean,
I disappeared then. Did you even see me disappear? Did you hear me talking in the background?
It froze on my screen.
No.
Okay. My internet disappeared for like 30 seconds, then came back.
I saw you froze. I was actually wondering if you could really sit that still. I've never seen that. You were totally frozen on the screen.
I liked him. I was auditioning for a job at Madame Tussauds
Oh yeah, yeah. That's
as one of
another
the wax
propaganda
figures.
campaign.
Yeah.
With the what is the other one called? Ripley's.
Yeah.
Well, we've got the London dungeons as well,
Yeah. So
but you don't have to go in a dungeon to see that. Yeah,
no.
there we go.
Yeah. So
Well,
you want to see a clip? Did you see
Show
this?
us the clips.
Have you seen this one, Sven?
Why do you think that is?
Don't
I
know.
mean, why is that? I mean, is it just because
yeah, I've seen
people
this
are lazy today or they're bored? I mean, are we just like bored, spoiled children who've just been lying in the bathtub all day, just playing with their plastic duck, and now they're just thinking, well, what can I do?
Okay, yes. We are bored. We're all bored now. But has it ever occurred to you, Wally, that the process that creates this boredom that we see in the world now may very well be a self-perpetuating, unconscious form of brainwashing created by a world totalitarian government based on money, and that all of this is much more dangerous than one thinks, and it's not just a question of individual survival, Wally, but that somebody who's bored is asleep, and somebody who's asleep will not say no? See, I keep meeting these people. I mean, just a few days ago, I met this man whom I greatly admire. He's a Swedish physicist, Gustav Bjornstrand, and he
They're
told me
saying
that he no
everything we
longer
just
watches
talked about.
television, he doesn't read
Yeah.
newspapers, and he doesn't read magazines. He's completely cut them out of his life because he really does feel that we're living in some kind of Orwellian nightmare now, and that everything that you hear now contributes to turning you into a robot. And when I was at
I've
Findhorn,
seen this
I
for
met
a
this
while.
extraordinary English tree expert
You've
who had
seen this
devoted
one?
his life to saving trees. Just got back from Washington, lobbying to save the redwoods. He's
This doesn't get
84
old.
years old. He always travels with a
This makes
backpack
me
because he never
smile
knows where
every
he's going to
time
be
I see it.
tomorrow. And when I met him at Findhorn, he said to me, "Where are you from?" And I said, "New York." He said, "Ah, New York, yes, that's a very interesting place. Do you know a lot of New Yorkers who keep talking about the fact that they want to leave but never do?" And I said, "Oh, yes." And he said, "Why do you think they don't leave?" I gave him different banal theories. He said, "Oh, I don't think it's that way at all." He said, "I think that New York is the new model for the new concentration camp, where the camp has been built by the inmates themselves, and the inmates are the guards, and they have this pride in this thing they've built. They've built their own prison, and so they exist in a state of schizophrenia, where they are both guards and prisoners, and as a result, they no longer have, having been lobotomized, the capacity to leave the prison they've made, or to even see it as a prison."
So
That's the trick.
yeah, do you think that they could do something like that?
They already have.
Yeah, but I'm thinking about like the Escape from New York, the movie. You know, do you think they could shut down a whole area and just throw everybody
They
in the
did
pit?
it. They did it with Berlin.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, they can. They can cordon off a street. If you try and leave, they'll shoot you.
Yeah,
So they've done it before.
yeah.
So it's not a new concept. It's just that, of course, in the modern day world, we've said this before, Brian, in when we've spoken in the past, that people have policed themselves in all of this. You
Yeah.
don't even need much police presence on the street. People are grassing each other up. People are giving each other stupid looks, asking each other silly questions, making life uncomfortable. That's all you need to keep people kind of doing what they're told.
You just need the teleprompter.
Yeah, you just need someone in a nice suit who you recognize from the 6 o'clock news to deliver the story nicely, and everybody believes it.
Yeah.
Or a famous actor to come on the TV screen and say, you know, protect everybody else and get a vaccine.
Yeah. It's
Or
terrible.
musicians.
Musicians, yeah, that are either not even the originals or
Go to Eric Clapton's YouTube channel and look at his last song. It is amazing. He is like, other than conspiracy music guru, Eric Clapton's actually saying something, saying the truth.
he is, but he wasn't 3 or 4
He
weeks
is.
ago. And that's the confusion in all of this. And that's why, and we've seen this so many times where politicians have done it the other way around. They've said, no, this is an
We're not
infringement on
gonna do it,
people's
yeah.
privacy, blah, blah, blah. And then 3 weeks later, obviously their masters have phoned them up and told them, their handlers, that is, and told them, you will go to this photo opportunity. We're going to roll your sleeve up and you're going to make it look like you've got a jab. And you basically, that's your humiliation ritual. It happens all the time. And they can do it. They can flip it the other way around as well and make someone out to be this this truth-seeking musician. But we have to remember he is handled by the same people. Eric Clapton will be a high-ranking Mason. He has to be.
That's
Otherwise,
true.
he does not. Yeah. Otherwise, he doesn't have any success, and it's that simple. It's a prerequisite for success. And so, any messages that these people give out, that it's all done by design, and that's why. It took me a while to understand that. Trust me. I'm a massive Beatles fan, for example, right? But when you look behind it a little bit more, and then you actually start seeing the evidence for all of that, that's too much coincidence. And you realize, then you start bumping into names like Tavistock and EMI, which was the military wing of the BBC telecommunications department, for example, which a lot of people don't know. And it's all connected with British military intelligence and blah, blah, blah. I mean, same as the whole LSD program of the 60s and all that, with the CIA. Same, they're all linked.
So
they're all together. They've got, they've got different accents.
Yeah. Like double speak. That's what I'm calling it now. Double speak.
Yeah. It's double speak, and it's ambiguity, and it's set out to confuse the hell out of people.
It's working.
Yeah, it's working because we're having this conversation, but it's an interesting conversation because in our world, we would hope for the good in a person. Oh, he's come to his senses. He's singing it in his songs. Yeah, on face value, you're totally right. And of course, when you look a bit deeper, of course, you realize he's got a publishing company. He's part of a record deal, and they're then handled by them, and they own them, and blah. Before you know it, you realize quickly, oh no, actually,
yeah. Basically,
and it's a shame.
It's amazing.
That's disappointing.
Very.
I saw myself waking up totally a couple of years ago after I met Sven. He ruined my life. So, but after that, I've been listening to all the music I listen to, and it's amazing how much truth I see in it now. And even music that was made 30, 40, 50 years ago, it contains the agenda. It contains
they have to put it out there. Yeah, look at Pink Floyd. Look at Dark Side of the Moon. Look at Breakfast in America from Supertramp. I mean, there's so many albums out there that that tell you kind of what's going on. Yeah.
And they would never be allowed to be on the scale that they were if they weren't part of the system. So I'm pretty sure that somehow all this is connected, whether it's Hollywood or what it is, but they have common ground. That's for sure. You can feel it when you
absolutely
listen. So
the common ground is probably just Satan.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's why we wanted to do a demo at the Masonic Hall a few weeks ago. We have a Masonic Hall not far from where I live. It's quite a big building.
I have one across the street.
Yeah. They're everywhere. Funny that. You don't have a Cub Scout place in every village in England, but you have one of these places in every bloody town. It's quite ironic. But allegedly they're not very important. Yeah, like hell they're not.
The ones across the street, they were still meeting every week, even though through the lockdowns and the restrictions and everything, they were still over there. You couldn't go to church, the bigger church in Denmark, but
they write the rules.
Yeah. So
instead of bowls, there is penguins here.
Sorry?
Instead of bowls, they put penguins all over the city here.
Penguins?
Penguins. And they have made them into pieces of art. But, I mean, I feel like there's a purpose behind it. in the building where I work, because I've only started working there recently, I see a plaque on the wall from the Masonic Society. And it is definitely a Masonic building. But on the bottom floor inside the building, there is a penguin, and it has a face on its trunk, and it says it's the two-faced penguin. And these penguins are everywhere, all over, and they all have a different motif. But the two-faced penguin is like, if you go to Paul's channel, What the Flock TV, and watch his Janus videos, then you see who the two-faced god is. That's their god. It has many names, this two-faced god Janus. He pronounces it Janus.
Yeah, it plays into the duality, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yes, it grosses me out that there's a two-faced penguin on the bottom floor of that building. The whole thing grosses me out now. I'm actually photographing some of these things downtown right now because I feel like it's important. This is more of the windows below the ground level thing, the mud flood. All of these buildings have, to me, and I have looked into this as well, they have a frequency encoded into them.
Yeah.
I can't say it any other way.
And it's interesting, what color are penguins? Black and white. There we have it again.
Yeah, these penguins are all different colors.
Oh, the different colors, are they?
Pictures of those two as well.
That's nice.
Oh, yes.
That's nice. They've really
But the building
creative.
I work in, it has stained glass images, like on one whole sidewall in the first floor. All of the Masonic emblemage, the flowers, the four-petaled flowers, the coffered ceilings with more stained glass. No owls, but it's all like Gothic Art Deco is kind of the type it is. So I'm going to continue taking pictures of these, and eventually I'm going to put them up on my channel. I haven't got to put anything on my channel yet, but
what's your channel?
All of the buildings, Crystal Shaman, all of the buildings have the old, all of these buildings have the whole, everything that Campbell and all the rest are saying, the Tartarian, people who like really investigate this, where you see that these buildings had some kind of power source even way back, before electricity was ran.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating. It was mentioned a lot in the Uranon video. Did you ever see that, Crystal?
Which one?
It was the 5-hour The Lost History of Flat Earth, the video that went round.
I don't know that I've seen that. I don't think I have.
Okay. Well, I'll try and get it to you somehow. But he goes through, for example, when we talk about mud floods and old architecture, and of course, when you go further back, the suggestion is, and based on evidence, that of course all our cathedrals weren't originally meant as cathedrals. They were repurposed, as it were. And of course, they had these energy collectors or electric conduction systems or whatever, and he was explaining it in terms of the shapes of the architecture and where they put the stained glass into the windows. If you were to take the glass out, it could have maybe had this effect or whatever. And it all had to do with sound frequencies, sound waves.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And the use of water as well, because water was always close by, especially near the star forts. There's always water nearby, and they're everywhere. They're all around the world. It's unbelievable stuff.
And they have there's a major river that runs through this state, and they have taken these columns, they have created these columns and jacked them into the ground right by the river, and they're very ornate looking, and and you can see a piece of rebar sticking up right out of the center of each column. So I mean, to me they haven't put the cap piece on the column yet, so I'm kind of wondering what the top piece, the cap, is going to look like. But so I mean, to me there's a specific purpose that they jacked these into the ground right where the water is, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, there's so much that we don't know, isn't there?
There is.
And it's been hidden from us, actually.
Yeah.
Yes, there is.
Do you
This
think we
is
could handle it all
technology
at
that they're
once?
hiding, and there's, you know, frequencies to this stuff, and they're not, you know, we are not. Some people. I mean, I know it exists, but I don't know all the details of it. But you know, we're only finding out about some of this truth, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. But do you think, Sven, that we could handle it if we got everything, all the truth at once? Do you think we were able to handle that? I'm not so sure, you know.
I don't think so. I think it might be a lot. I think the real truth is even more obscure than what we think might be the real truth.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Uh,
They're probably
I thought-
hiding it from us for our benefit, because it's always for our benefit, Brian.
What if this is just a little bubble, you know, between all the other bubbles? We don't know. We know no shit. You know, we could be, as I started out this stream, I started to say that we were in a, what do you call it, an amusement park, you know, and been born into an amusement park and been here for the most of our lives. And
Yeah.
but one of us jumped that wall, you know. How long do you think it will take us to get back in?
Well, it's very much like the story of Pinocchio, right? He also gets drawn into this amusement
Yeah.
park.
Yeah.
And first, it's all fun and games, and then he has to play a role in the amusement park, right? Or is it the other way around? First, he plays the role. I don't.
Well, when you get to the point where we are, you know, Disney's movies are becoming kind of sinister.
Yeah, well, it is a movie. I mean, look at Klaus Schwab. Look at Bill
everything.
Gates. I mean, they're cartoonesque as hell, man. I mean,
Yeah, they are. They are. Yeah. Even the people who they've selected to be so-called world leaders, they're all weird characters.
yeah.
All of them.
Danny had a question, and I wanted to say something about the penguins. So I'm just gonna let her in here for a second.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry, I have a lot of noise going on around me.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly the specific connotation to the penguins, but I know I've seen it associated with Freemasonry before. But it's funny she said that. We have a hotel here that's called the 21C Hotel, which, you know, would be 33. The 2 + 1 and then the C being the third letter of the alphabet. But it has red penguins all over it. There's rows of red penguins all around the top of the building. And then there's a massive statue. I'm assuming it's the David statue. I don't know if it's exact, but it's almost, I don't know, probably maybe 30 feet tall or even more with the base.
Wow.
It's on, and it's like painted gold. And I've been in there before, and I mean, they have the penguins everywhere. The bar has Pan playing the flutes, kind of look like crouching on the edge of the
wow.
bar. Yeah, it's wild.
That's
Now I
pretty
want to break
creepy.
into my, my Freemasons on the other side. I want to see that for myself.
Yeah.
I advise you not to do that, Rebel.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes, Rebel.
Well, I
Please
was
don't go
just
over
look-
and take a look at the dark side. They'll try
Right.
to get you.
Yeah, just join them. You know, you can't beat them. Join them.
I was looking
Oh, I
at
can
some
burn 'em.
pictures of the hotel.
That's another choice.
It looks like there's an article that says 21C Museum Hotels partners with JP Morgan's. It looks, the word is getting cut off. Junius Hospitality Partners. I don't know. So JP
They're
Morgan's all
definitely
up in
living
that.
in another world than we are. That's for sure.
I'm gonna mute my mic. I can't hear you guys very well because of all my sounds.
That's okay.
But yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. The kids stopped playing the game, but I'm canning food, so I can't stay. But yeah, it's great to see you guys talking though. I've been listening for quite a while.
Oh,
Good to see you, Danny. I haven't seen you in a
we
long
have been
time.
all over the place.
That must have been torture.
Oh no, of course not.
She was doing something else.
I've been cooking. I've been cooking.
Oh,
and
well then, that's
cleaning,
okay.
doing lady things all day, women's work.
Cooking is not a ladies' thing, I'll have you know.
Well, I guess some men are okay at cooking for leisure, but
Yeah,
That's
well, you know.
discriminating, Danny.
Well, I can only speak from a British point of view. I'm not too sure. I don't know.
And you know, we know
Yes,
what British
some
cooking
men are
is
good
like.
cooks too.
Yeah, we don't rank very highly in the tabella de cuisine, as it were. But then I've got a German mum. The Germans know how to cook, that's for sure.
well, I don't even know how I learned how to cook, and I think I'm pretty good at it. I used to watch Food Network, like Alton Brown. He has had a long time ago science-based cooking show, and so it was about like the chemical reactions that were going on in the food and things like that, and that got me interested in it. And but my mom can't boil water properly. Like a bowl of cereal is just gonna wreck it somehow.
Oh, wow.
I don't. And my grandma, it was just like cabbage and sausage all the time. So I don't know.
Well, you know. Well, we can cook the most necessary, surely, to survive, I would suggest.
Yeah. I'm just.
You
I'm
know?
sure your dinner is lovely. It's fine.
No, well, as long as my microwave works. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, it's not too bad. When you live alone, when you live alone, you don't stick to a routine of food anyway. Really, it's kind of sort of.
I imagine if I had the luxury of living alone, I would probably be eating pretty good.
Yeah, but it's like depending on the laziness factor, That's
Yeah,
always
that's true.
with
Yeah,
me. Anyway,
actually, when I'm with my kids, I'm pretty good cook. When I'm alone, I'm ordering pizza. So
that's a travesty of justice. That is, Brian.
yeah, it is.
I think
You
it'd be
know.
okay if I never had pizza
I
again.
bought you pizza once.
Yeah,
Well-
Brian comes from a country that does by far the greatest hot dogs of all time,
Oh yeah.
and yet he goes for a pizza. Really?
I like hot
Yeah.
dogs. I like
we should have
sauerkraut on
gone to the best pizza place in Copenhagen, but they wouldn't
Sauerkraut on
go
them.
there.
Absolutely right. Great call.
yeah. Except for if I can't tolerate the kind with caraway seeds in it. That's gross.
No,
gotta have-
none of that nonsense. Just a bit of sausage, decent bockwurst or whatever.
Yeah.
Lots of sauerkraut,
Yes.
and then I
and
like
mustard. I like mustard.
mustard and tomato sauce on there. That's it, done. Or tomato, whichever one you prefer.
Tomato.
Oh no, yeah, right.
Well, not that I prefer one over the other, but
Well, in Denmark, you're gonna get remoulade.
remoulade.
Remoulade, yeah.
Remoulade, yes. Oh, remoulade. Blimey.
Isn't that
Yeah.
like a mayonnaise kind of thing?
Yeah.
No, it's more like a pickles kind of thing.
But it's creamy.
Oh, like the chopped, like squash and
Yeah, and then you blend it, and then you have remoulade.
yeah, it's like a squash relish. Yeah, I've had that before.
You blend it, and then you put a little mayonnaise in it. Then you have remoulade.
Okay, yeah, I thought it had mayonnaise in it.
And you've also got tzatziki. You ever heard of that?
Yes,
Yeah,
like
The Greek
cucumber.
sauce,
Yes,
Yeah.
I love that sauce. That's good.
the chives and stuff and all that. It's very nice. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, we have a lot of the Greek stuff here. We have actually restaurants from Ethiopia and India and
Whereabouts is that? Whereabouts?
Kentucky.
Kentucky.
Yep.
Wow.
I live in the city. I live in Louisville.
Mm.
They don't say it like that here, though. They say Louisville.
Louisville.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
There's a big BJJ studio in Louisville that I follow on YouTube, and
Oh yeah.
What is
so
BJJ? What is that?
that is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I actually signed up for some what's that Israeli one?
Oh, Krav Maga.
Yes, I signed up for that, and it was the instructors. It was at a church, and then the church shut down, and they never gave the classes, so I never got to do it. I was really looking forward to that. I did do Taekwondo though.
If you like hurting people, then you can go to Krav Maga.
Yeah, I like hurting people. No,
Okay. Then you chose the right one.
Well, I guess this is the right moment to go.
right. Well, you boys have fun. I hope I didn't scare Crystal.
No, I'm only kidding.
No, I do need to go though. I have to.
Oh, you do need to go.
Time-
Okay.
Yeah, I got
Nice
to time the
meeting you.
seals on the jars properly, or they won't seal, and then everything is gone. So, but that was fun. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me.
Yeah,
Take care.
good to see you, Danny. It's been a while.
Bye.
See you around. Bye.
Yeah, that's important to can your goods well, right? Otherwise, it's all lost.
Yeah. My mic stopped
Okay.
working.
What happened
Okay,
to
I'm
Crystal? Did she just disappear? Was that due to
she
Coriolis
said,
or something, or what
her
happened?
mic stopped working. She wrote in the chat. That's perfectly okay. If you get it back, you can join again if you want. But
Yeah, I'm
it
gonna
was
say
nice
goodbye
having you
to-
here, Crystal. It was good to have a talk. So, thank
I'm
you.
gonna say goodbye to. I'm gonna eat my spaghetti, my midnight spaghetti.
Your midnight spaghetti. Yeah, we're gonna quit soon anyway because I have to get up to work tomorrow. It's almost 1 o'clock here.
Yeah.
Time
Good
flies.
to speak to you again, Rebel and Sven.
Voynich,
Yeah.
nice to speak to you, my friend. Long time no speak. Good to see you again.
Yeah. Good to see you, Voynich. And thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, man. Ciao.
See you later. Ciao.
See you. So yeah, good to see you, Sven.
Yeah, you too, mate.
I
You
haven't
too.
seen you in a while. So
It's been a long time. Yeah.
I was actually started kind of missing you.
Oh,
Oh. So
no. It's just been one of those few months, really. It's just been busy. It's just
It's
been busy
cool.
on and off. It's been hard to plan anything, really. That's
Yeah.
all. Excuse me.
I know how it is, you know.
Yeah.
Life gets in your way for the fun stuff.
It does happen, and sometimes the first thing that I neglect normally is online stuff because I'm then so occupied with other things. So the first thing that kind of stops with me or slows right down is online things.
Well,
Online activity goes right down for me. So,
You know, yeah, I do the
so if
same.
I'm ever missing for a few weeks, that is literally what it is. Because
Yeah.
it's just there's always something here. You know, I don't live alone in that sense. I live alone, but I live in a house with lots of other people as well, and so there's lots of things
Yeah.
always happening. You know.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Well, we'll be here, Sven. We're not going
Yeah.
anywhere, you know. So everybody needs a break now and then, you know, from everything. I was there last year. It took 8 months before I came back, you know.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
gone for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I do every now and then have a little look to see if there's any new sort of content up from others or whatever. I do have a little look, but apart from that, actually interacting and, you know, and going on people's things and chats and stuff, I haven't done that for a while because I just haven't really had the time and the energy. Yeah, really.
Yeah.
I don't like doing that sort of stuff unless I feel really up for it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, I had that, and then when I was out for 8 months, I started missing it, and I was starting to go insane because I didn't have like-minded people around me. So I kind of forced myself going back because I could see it was hurting me not to have you guys to talk to. You know, it does, because when you're walking around in my neighborhood, there's nobody awake. You know, and at some point you're gonna feel alone. You know, and you have to go back to where you can get these interactions with people that think the same way as you, because sometimes you even start doubting yourself. You know, you start doubting your own beliefs at some point.
Absolutely.
You know? Is
Absolutely.
you that weird? Are you doing the right way? And then you just call you or the other guys at Discord or somewhere else, you know, and then I can listen to you for like 20 minutes and say, okay, everything I've been thinking the last year is it's not me being crazy, you know.
No,
because you just said what I was thinking for the last year. So
it's good to question yourself every now and then anyway, because then that means you're not taking it all for granted. You know what I mean?
You have to.
That's important. But yeah, you soon snap out of it very quickly when you think about one or two things and you realize, oh yeah, no, I'm not going crazy. I trust my own senses. You know what I mean? We've heard that one before, right?
Yeah.
Trust our own observations and not what comes through the...
No, don't trust your senses. They're misleading you. If
Of course they are.
Senses,
yeah.
You will see over straight water from island to island. That's not going to work, Sven.
No, it's not going to work. If that's the case, I should be able to see Spain from New York.
Oh, yeah, yeah. But it's foggy today, so you can't.
There we go. Yeah.
So, yeah. But it was nice to see you again, my friend. So,
you too, mate. Yeah, you too. And we'll stay in touch, definitely. You know, I'll look out for, you know, the usual suspects. Keep an eye out for Algo or whatever if he's on at some stage. If it's not too late, that is for me. I've been getting up relatively early recently, but yeah, then I'll try and get on there and get on a chat, and we can always message each other, can't we? We can text or whatever.
Yeah. I'm always here if you need me.
Yeah,
anything, you know.
Me too, mate. Me too. I might not respond straight away, but I'm about.
That's what it is. But we're here.
You know? Yeah,
and that's what's important, you know, and that goes for everybody else in the chat. You know, you don't have to be a part of a community. You can go in and out as you want. That's the whole idea, you know, freedom of choice. You know, you can choose for yourself what you want to be, what you want to do at any time, and that's really the message. I think that's going to be the message of the day. You know, do whatever you want on your own time. So, yeah. You want to end it on that note, my friend?
Absolutely, sounds good to me, my friend.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for.
Well, so thank you for coming, because I was actually starting to miss people. There wasn't anybody called in the last time, so I was to start missing people to talk to, and I can always talk to you guys. So thank you for everybody that was here.
No worries, man. Let's do it again sometime.
Yeah, I'll be here every Sunday if you need to chat. So
I'm sure I will, because there will be one or two things.
I'm pretty sure in Denmark there's going to be a lot of talk about in the last 2 weeks. That's why I wanted to do this get ready stuff today, because I think with 2 or 3 weeks we're going to see a new issue of this NWO thing. So yeah,
time will tell. All right, my friend.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you, and have a good week if we don't speak.
I will, I'm sure. Now I've had these conversations with all these lovely people. How can I not? So,
what could possibly go wrong?
Exactly.
Take it easy, all right?
Yeah.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Always lovely to hear from Sven P. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. I set this stream for 90 minutes, and now we are passing, well, we are almost double that. So I'm going to quit. I have work tomorrow. I hope that's okay with everybody. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I had such a good time. And if anybody wants to join us next week, come. There's room for everybody. And no topic is too small or too big. Everything's on the table. I think we showed that today. So yeah, thank you for everybody coming here today. I appreciate that you're joining me for this. I didn't expect that many people, and it's just amazing. It makes me happy, and I'm a good guy now, and I can do another week, and I hope we have as many people next week, so we can keep continuing backing each other up, because that's what it's about. You know, we need to unite in bigger groups before we take the next step. On our own, we're not going to get anywhere, but together we can actually move mountains. And I think that's what we need to do, not only on the internet, but in real life. We need to join up. You know, we need to feel each other's energy, and we need to be better people. You know, just like Jack Nicholson said, you make me want to be a better man. And that's how I feel with everybody here. You know, when I'm here and I'm feeling the energy from all these good people, that makes me want to do better. And that's what it's all about. So thank you, everybody, for tonight. I know I'm going to have a great week, and I hope everybody has a great week as well. So I'll see you next week. This is Ripple TV. See you on the flip side. Over and out.